bitch. Oh, excuse you? Baloney wash. I'm annoyed. I'm just here to give my opinion and carry in. Oh, it's Chris Avalon Unfiltered, bitch. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Happy Tuesday. It's your boy, Chris Avalon, and welcome to a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered, a show we basically talk about all things going on in pop culture and hot topics. So, if that is a show for you, definitely stick around because we have a lot of tea to spill today, including, of course, we got to talk about the Knicks and the fact that a big old orange jinx walked up in MSG and caused them their 14-game winning streak. So, yeah, the Knicks lost last night, so we got to get into that and all the headache and everything going around that. Plus, because we showed it yesterday, we got to follow up. The View is weighing in on it, and Whoopi still out here windmilling hard for Trump. Everybody side-eyeing her. Plus, Cardi B, who was there, and she performed during the halftime show, which y'all didn't get to see because they don't really show the halftimes at the Garden. She weighed in on the Knicks' performance. She said the energy was different up in there. She's not the only one that said that. A lot of people were saying that. And then she said we need to hold a prayer circle around Game 4. So we'll get into that. Plus, JFK's nephew was reacting to Madonna saying that his uncle was the best frack of her life. So we'll get into that. Speaking of Madonna, Lopez is revealing, even though this is old tea, but of course, whenever you go on Andy Cohen's show, he loves keeping Madonna's name in his mouth. So in case y'all didn't know that, she was supposed to be one of the original lineups of the infamous Hollywood Like a Virgin MTV VMA performance before Christina was brought in and that whole kissing situation. So she's spilling tea about the whole thing and what she would have did different in that whole situation. So we'll get into that. Plus, Michael Jackson. Oh yeah, there's two clips because I have one of also the whole Jack Schlossberg when he went and made the comment about Madonna. He was on Andy Cohen's show, his podcast, when he said it. So we'll talk about that when we get around to that topic as well. And I just remembered as I'm talking about it that I didn't open up the video. So now I had to go do that while I'm running my mouth to y'all. Okay, so now also we got to talk about Michael Jackson, that Netflix docuseries about him and the PDF file trial that happened back in 2005. Well, I got the numbers on how many people actually sat and watched the Michael Jackson, The Verdict Netflix docuseries. We'll get into that. Plus, apparently there was a story I saw on Radar Online. I had to bring y'all. They talking about that Nicole Scherzinger was blindsided by the whole tour for Pussycat Dolls being canceled, and it was over her egotistical behavior and all that other stuff. Plus, we're going to talk about Ariana Grande, Ethan Slater, who didn't see this coming, them breaking up months ago. Well, tea has been spilled. They were broken up for a while, and now it's all coming out, so we'll break that down. We also got a verdict on O'Shea Sibley. Remember him? There was the homosexual that was out there voguing at a gas station in Brooklyn, and apparently he was unalived by some bigot. Well, apparently said bigot has been sentenced. We'll get into that. And speaking of Andy Cohen, he has a condition for if he ever plans on casting a trans woman on the Housewives franchise. And speaking of trans women, Laverne Cox is opening up on Dating at MAGA because, she got a new book out, so she got to promote it. And you knew that conversation was going to come out one way or another in the wash. So, and also, speaking of breakups, because we were talking about Ariana Grande, Ethan Slater, apparently Jussie Smollett and his man done broke up. They was engaged. They not no more, so we'll get into that and a whole lot more. So before we get to those topics, if you could please do me a solid, hit that like button. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and also be sure to smash the notification bell so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. We also have super chats, super stickers. You can hype the channel. You can do all the things to get the show out there up and running. I saw yesterday's episode definitely started gaining some traction without the other form that I used to do, because when I used to do it where it was just like y'all would watch it on the phone versus on the laptop or your TV or whatever the case was, those were getting bigger numbers. Well, apparently I guess StreamYard stopped doing that. And also the numbers rise a little bit because it might have been because of the whole Madonna talk and all the other stuff that was going on that had the algorithm jumping. So thank you all for those of you who tuned in, the newbies, the veterans, and everybody in between who continue to support this messy ass show. Okay, so now let me put y'all comments up in the situation. Not fuck Whoopi Goldberg. Team Sunny. I'm now convinced the FCC is what probably because they still going through with the FCC and Disney and the whole thing where it's like you say anything Trump related, they're trying to talk about his biases and trying to come after them. This is something they've been dealing with for a while. But the CEOs of them over at Disney said, bring it. They're ready to fight. So I don't know what she over there trying to all of a sudden windmill hard for Trump though and trying to make it seem like, oh, just anybody can come to the garden. We know anybody can come to the damn garden. However, we all know the drama that comes with Trump showing up anywhere now that he's president and the chaos that he always leaves in his wake. So if she want to pretend to be obtuse, she can do that. Let's also talk about how one black girl, we don't give a fuck about that bitch that we was talking about yesterday regarding Madonna. People are just going to come out and say they ignorant stuff, and we can't just sit and let people say the ignorant things that they want to say and act like that you can't be black and be a fan of a white artist. That sounds like the dumbest shit on the planet, and that's exactly why certain minorities will continue to stay boxed in one little corner or their little cubicle because they can't think outside of the bigger picture. So if people want to sit and act like that, then they can. Onyx is in the building. We also have Shadows Girl saying Laverne Collins the first person to hear about Caitlyn's transition. I think she also made a comment about Caitlyn's transition too. Happy Tuesday, Chris and company. Cleveland's in the building. But I think I watched like a small little clip of her interview. I didn't watch the whole thing. All right, so now let me hit my banner. And without further ado, let's get into topic number one, which is it shouldn't come as no surprise, but I think we all, those of us, even Helen Keller, if that bitch was alive, she would have told you that if Trump would have showed up at the Madison Square Garden, he would have got booed. So yeah, it was chaos from what I heard. But what they were saying online, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily true. I'm going to have to do a little investigation when I go to work on Thursday and talk to my coworkers about, because yesterday, like I told you, I was supposed to work game 4, but I swapped it for Rosalia. I know y'all be like, are you crazy? But no, I wanted to work Rosalia's concert. Game 4, I mean, it's not like they're gonna, I'm not gonna say they're not gonna win game 4, but it's not like it's gonna be a clean sweep now because they lost. Now I'd have been more upset if the historical thing would have happened and I wasn't there. But people were begging Trump not to come. They were saying, like, sucker ass Smith said, please don't come to the event. If you come, it's going to be a whole bunch of whatever. It's going to be drama. It's going to be chaos. They might lose, whatever the case was. Trump, of course, responded after the fact and did what he usually does whenever he deals with black people with an opinion. He always says that they have a low IQ. Takes one to know one. I mean, talk about the one with the lowest of IQs, talking about somebody got a low damn IQ. But this is how he thinks of black people. He thinks every black person is dumb. I mean, you saw what he did with what's her name? Kristen Welker. Was that her name? The one he just interviewed up in that rainy ass thing, and basically was like calling her stupid too. When she was asking him questions that he had no evidence to even bring to the table, just rambling. That was the other day. So anyway, he showed up. I heard it was hell. The fact that they put up newer barricades. People had to get there extra early, but it's like, people in New York work. Not everybody has time to be like having to leave work early so they can get on some long line that span from what I heard to like Fifth Avenue. Now, if anybody's ever been to New York, the blocks going from like 33rd to 34th Street are not long. The long blocks come in when you go towards the avenues. So if you go from 6th Avenue to 5th Avenue and 5th Avenue on up, those is where the long blocks are. So when you come to New York, you see like going up the block it's like 2 blocks mashed and merged into one. So you having to go on that line, and it was spinning for blocks because they had to go and check everybody, make sure you wasn't bringing no bags in. It was just hell. Plus they had to move the watch parties from around Madison Square Garden, where we normally have it, right next door on the side, towards where 2 Penn is. And I'm speaking MSG speak, but if you know where 2 Penn is, that's like literally on 7th Avenue, and I think, what was it, 33rd? Yeah, 33rd. Whatever, it doesn't matter. So they had to move all of that because they didn't want anybody in close proximity to the thing. Then I saw the videos of like his motorcade coming in. Of course, everybody was on the street booing, giving the finger. So he was getting booed and getting the finger and F Trump and all the other stuff long before he even got in the building. Then, of course, we saw the footage of him actually getting booed on the Jumbotron because Avery Wilson, that's a sexy ass man, by the way. I didn't realize he was that cute until I seen him in an interview this morning with Don Lemon. But he's sang a couple of times at the. He's always sang a couple of the national anthems a few times, so it wasn't his first time at the rodeo. So like, it was unfortunate that during his performance he got booed, but he was like his inner ears was in. He's focused on performing. He's not. You know, you gotta focus and clear the noise, and you can't focus too much on that. So, it was what it was. But and I actually would wonder. I'm curious as to why Dolan, my boss. So I'm gonna tread lightly on what I'll say. Why he invited Trump to the thing, knowing full on well, or maybe it's just that maybe rich people just have lack of reading the room. I don't know. But with everything that's going on right now and the fact that a lot of people hate him, particularly New York, like his numbers for who voted for him versus Kamala, whether like you agree with Kamala's policies or not, people was rocking with Kamala won New York. So people wasn't voting for him, and he's from Queens. So when you can't even win your own city, you can't even win your own, you can't even win New York, that's a problem, especially when you're from here. So I don't know why he was invited. And he should have stayed home. Because what was the point of you being there? Yes, it was to serve your own ego. And you could have just watched it at home like everybody else. And we saw the footage online that he fell asleep. Wait, hold on, because I might actually have that the video. Because I want to show y'all a couple of them. I was going to open up a couple of them or whatever the case was. But then I was like, I don't know. Well, hold on. So because I was like, I wasn't really going to open a lot of these earlier, but whatever. Let's just open up one of the videos. That ain't one of them. Okay, so yeah, I don't know. Let's try to play this one. And bright stars through the perilous clouds. So on the left, of course, that's Kai Trump. That's his granddaughter. And then he's in the middle. I don't know why he's saluting. First of all, you are a draft dodger. You had the bone spurs that you claimed that you had. And I don't understand how you up in here trying to act like you served because you didn't. You avoided going into the military, and you think the military are a bunch of fucking idiots any damn way, but you're saluted. You should have had your hand on your heart. But I guess since you don't have one, what are you going to put your hand over? And then on the other side of him is Dolan. Normally Dolan sits in 7A VIP, so he's like on the court, but where the basket is, that's where he usually sits. But I guess with this situation, because he was your personal guest, he had to entertain him. Now, based off of where it was shot, because I didn't know necessarily where they put him, I believe they put him in the Lexus suite, which is on the 7th floor. So that's between the 6th floor and the 8th floor. So that's like, there's a whole bunch of suites on that floor. And I think that would probably be the more sensible place to put him, because that's a place where you literally, there's a whole lot of ways you got to be able to get to him in that particular situation. If it's courtside, there's no guarantee that you can hold back certain people in certain situations. So if you have one of the suites on 7, in the Lexus suite, it's a private suite. He sits in there, he comes out, he can sit in those chairs. It looked like they raised the glass, because that glass didn't look like, I'm like, normally that glass ain't that damn high. But you can sit, there's a little glass that's behind it, that's a divider or whatever the case is, so that way I guess people don't try to jump over whatever. And you could just sit in the black chairs and you can watch the game and stuff that way. So that was the more easier way to do it, because when you go to the 7th floor, you got to go past security, you got to go past one of the directors that are running that section and show a ticket in order for you to be even allowed to go onto the 7th floor to get to the Lexus suites. So it makes perfect sense that that's what they were putting. I don't know why I didn't think of that, because I was expecting that, he would just be in the regular suites on the 5th floor and he could just come out and sit on the thing. But I guess you're not Cuomo and all those other ones, so they're not going to do that in that situation. So in any case, let's get into what the people were saying in this whole situation. So New York, was having a little too much fun celebrating the Knicks' first NBA Finals appearance since 1999. And of course, people were upset because Trump had to crash the party. So when you basically had to throw Midtown Manhattan and Madison Square Garden into logistical chaos because workers had to get on a long ass line trying to get in. And normally whenever we worked a situation with Trump, we've never had to worry about the fact of having to get on some long line blocks away or whatever to try to get in. We would just have to, you can come right out of Penn Station, go right to 8 Penn where the employee entrance is, go through there. Yeah, the line will be a little bit hectic because we got to wait in a long line trying to get up in that situation. So I don't necessarily know where they lined up. I'm going to have to find out exactly how that whole situation went down. But I just saw the line for where the regular people had to go through and they were treated like TSA and all that other foolishness where they had to take their shoes off. I'm like, damn, that's a little crazy. They tried to take y'all shoes off and then had to check to see if y'all had any kind of hidden weapons or whatever. And I felt the worst for the fans because those tickets was crazy. Someone went for $100,000. The nosebleeds, I believe, went for like $8,000. And I heard that Zoran scored him a ticket, and he sat up there with some business people. He did the SRO section, which I believe the only time I think that we do SROs is usually on the 8th floor. It's 204 next to 204 lower wheelchair. And so let me telling y'all the stuff. So I think that's where he was in the SRO situation. And I'm like, look at you still trying to be other people while everybody else is sitting courtside. Which sidebar? Why the fuck? So y'all getting mad over Trump? And yeah, we could be mad over him being there. Why the fuck was Jay-Z there? First of all, you got the Barclays Center. You built that probably to be in competition with MSG. You ain't never been all for the Knicks in that situation, but now because the Knicks is winning and where we are now, you want to be jumping on the bandwagon. So I was irritated that Macy Gray, that's what I'm calling Jay-Z now because he out here looking like Macy Gray with that fucking hair, was there. And then GJ Khaled fat ass was up in there, Mr. I'm Palestine denied, even though your ass is fucking Palestinian. He was there too in the front row. So y'all had him there. Why was he there? I don't even think he's a Knicks fan. But of course, there's a lot of celebrity bandwagon jumpers that was there. Because we had the regulars. Timothy Chalamet been there for, as long as his schedule's been, he's been available to do it because, with between the acting stuff, Timothy Chalamet is a diehard Knicks fan. So he's been riding the whole situation from the beginning, traveling to wherever the Knicks go to go and see them and stuff. He was out there in Texas with the Spurs the first 2 games. Now he's back in New York. But yeah, we've been seeing Timothy out here. So we know he's a real one. We know Spike Lee's a real one. We know Fat Joe's a real one. So this is what's been going on with all of that. So we know like the regulars, and of course we saw Mariska Hargitay and Christopher Maloney, Stabler and Benson were there. And funny enough, I saw a meme where somebody said there's a pedophile in the building. Get him! So I was like, yeah, go arrest him. He up on the 7th floor. Go get him, Jade. But all jokes aside, yeah. So that's what people had to do. So that's why I felt bad in that whole situation. But then after everything, this motherfucker had the nerve, the unlitigated gall to sit up there and say he thought it was great. He thought that people was really cheering him. He said, I thought it was very good. It was certainly entertaining. I think it was mostly cheers. It was loud and it was very enthusiastic. Well, I know what he heard, but y'all heard them boos. There was, in your mind, that's what you heard with cheers. This is why I said the delusion of it all. And it's sad because the people that he surrounded himself with, and he brought this upon himself because he only wants people around him that's going to kiss his ass, that's going to be a yes person. He doesn't want people who are going to be realistic. He had that during his first term, and he was pushing against that. Now in his second term, he's got a bunch of yes people and agenda vampires that have surrounded him, whether they oligarchs or people in his own cabinet. But he put them there. This is what he built upon himself. So when you decide to create this silo of delusion, and then you step into the real world where, New Yorkers, we don't bite our tongue. And so if you're going to come up in some place, Fox News can sit and lie on their situation, talking about that people was chanting USA, which, yes, there were people chanting USA. That was before the camera panned to him. And they normally do that at the game where you'll hear USA, USA, which I fucking hate. And it's because of the fact of what that chant brings. Before it used to have like a sense of uniting the country and all this stuff, but the way it's been so politicized by this regime, because not even an administration, it's a regime. The real feel and vibe around the USA chant, it's been demolished because of this regime and how they've taken every little thing and politicized it, and which annoys me because everybody says, why y'all gotta bring politics and everything? I'm like, it's not us. He's the one that's been doing it and trying to basically use politics as a marketing tool, kind of like in a way of like a reality star or like the WWE or that sort of thing. Like he's brought like this WWE circus type of vibe to politics. And you see it all playing. You saw that foolishness that we saw. I mean, that's going on with the UFC fight that's about to happen on the White House lawn. In what planet, in what multiverse is this something that is actually okay to be having? Like, what if, like, really? So if people don't want to sit and acknowledge what's going on or whatever, then okay, but they were talking about that people had to show up 2 hours early to undergo TSA-style security screenings. You couldn't bring no bags. Cars in the area were being towed. Watch parties were relocated. I also felt bad for people who had their own restaurants in the area, people who have bars in the area. There's literally a bar across the street from MSG. They probably made no money because... And they have 2 floors. Like they have a rooftop area where people can go hang out and stuff. They also have a lower level. So there's a lot of bars in that area that probably were affected because he decided to show up. But of course, he don't care because he's the president of the United States and he thinks that whatever he says is the law. Like all of a sudden, he thinks he Judge fucking Dredd. So I felt bad for a lot of the bars and stuff and the sports bars in the area that could have been making so much money, so much bank off of watch parties and stuff happening in there, ranking up drinks, beers, whatever the case is, but they couldn't make no money because of this situation. Well, guess what? After all this, I have heard that he's not going to be at game 4. He said scheduling conflicts. I got them same scheduling conflicts that affected him or prevented him from going to Don Jr.'s wedding. But we all know what it is. You're not going because of the backlash. Because now you realize, and it's sad that it has to always come to a point of the reality hitting you for it to hit the noggin. And it's sad that I had to get that, but it didn't have to be like this. So do I think that him showing up at MSG caused the Knicks to lose? I think many factors went into. I think that is partially true. I do think that his presence and the fact that he's a chaos demon and his energy just and I do believe that one person could walk in a room and shift the entire energy of, and it's like 20,000 people in there. So one person come in and everything that stems with him and everything that was going on, because this man thrives on chaos. So I do feel like his energy threw everybody off. The Knicks, we know some of them are not necessarily Trump fans. Carl Anthony Towns, I believe, or Cat as we like to call him, lost family members to COVID under his watch. Josh Hart has posted some anti-Trump situations on his social media. So we know that a lot of the Knicks players, but they're going to be neutral because they have to. Unfortunately, they were put between a rock and a hard place having to deal with this. So you're dealing with him being up in there, which is messing with their psyche, the energy of the fandom. So it's like that extra pressure that you have to bring forth in regards of, now we got to really show up because we're at our home. And I think that when you watch in the first quarter, you definitely see like the Knicks they were nervous. And it was just all that pressure was getting to them and they weren't communicating, they weren't thinking. So I do think that played a part in them losing. I also think, and also don't even get me started on the damn refs. There was that one particular, that bald-headed motherfucker. Let me watch my mouth because I work with these people. But the refs, the way that some of the decisions that was made during what the refs was doing, especially Wemby and how he was flinging around Jalen, mushing him till he fell on the floor, pushing him back at one point where it looked like he was in pain from how hard he hit the floor. Like they were doing football moves on the floor, on the court. And they were not calling fouls on that. But then when the Knicks was pushing back, then all of a sudden they were getting fouled for what they were doing. So it just felt like there was biases there. The Knicks have always been kind of counted out, I feel like, by a lot of people. And some people even have a theory that they believe that what was happening, that they don't want it to be a clean sweep. They want to keep stretching this game out as long as they can because there's so much money to be made in this. From us working, the refs, the people buying up them expensive ass tickets, the watch parties. So it's definitely, I will say, it definitely helps with the economy and revenue and all that other stuff. However, the way that y'all are robbing these people, because it's like no ticket should be $100,000. A cheap seat ticket should not be $8,000. Like, come on. It would be nice if we could have like the real fans up in there, like the people, the hardcore Knicks fans could be able to afford these tickets. But it's not worth taking out a damn mortgage on your house just so that way you could be a part of a historical moment, or because of corporate greed. Now, speaking of that, before we get to the other stuff, I want to show y'all this clip that I came across on Joy Reid's page, where one of the guys had this theory on, you know, with the, speaking of the refs, that whole situation. So she was like, I'm just gonna leave this right here, and yeah, I'm gonna show y'all, because I was like, yeah, this be a good clip to show y'all as well. So let's watch this clip. We're gonna come back and talk. Please hold.
Refs, when San Antonio was at home, were calling the games basically straight up and down, but they were lopsided when the game was at OKC, and it made you think, does the league want this series extended? Is there some kind of favoritism toward Oklahoma City? Same thing seems to be happening here, as though the league or the refs or someone doesn't want a short series. There's the flagrant foul that should have been called on Castle when he ran into Jalen Brunson. Now, a foul was called, yes, and Brunson got the free throws, but it really was a flagrant foul. That's not a basketball move. This is not a basketball move. It's a forearm. It's a WWE move. And Wemby, when he threw Brunson down in front of everybody and laughed about it, no foul was called on that play. That is also a flagrant foul. That's a flagrant foul. And nothing was called on the Knicks' best player at home in the finals in plain view of everyone. Refs, when San Antonio was at home, were calling the games basically straight up and down, but they were lopsided when the game was at OKC. And it made you think, does the league want this series extended? Is there some kind of favoritism toward Oklahoma City? Same thing seems to be happening here, as though the league or the refs or someone doesn't want a short series. There's the flagrant foul that should have been called on Castle when he ran into Jalen Brunson.
Okay, so yeah, there's that. And I do agree. I do feel like there was some type of flagrant favoritism and things that was going on. It was just rubbing me the wrong way with the way that a lot of the calls were being played last night. It's like, yeah, this is not how they play. Now, don't get me wrong. We've been wanting for the longest for the Knicks to be playing some defense, and they've been doing pretty good with that. But some of the calls yesterday just had me shaking my damn head and had me cussing at the TV. And that's why I'm glad that them people was in that arena yesterday, because I said what normally happens is they'll be up in there saying like, refs, you suck. And I heard that quite a few times over some of the decisions that they were making. But yeah, so everybody from Sucker Ass Smith, Hakeem Jeffries, even the Spurs point guard, De'Aaron Fox, said that they didn't want Trump to be there because he said the president being there just makes it inconvenient for everybody else. So all it is just like, have some type of compassion, have some type of empathy, think about others outside. I know, who the hell am I fooling? We already know that is not in Trump's DNA to give a fuck about anybody else but himself. But with all that being said, I definitely want to hear from y'all. What did you guys think of last night's game? I definitely want to hear from y'all in regards of that. Let me know in the comments. Now, before we get to the rest of the stuff, I think I'm going to just combine all of this under one. Let's talk about The View, because they were giving their overall thoughts on, they were weighing in on all this. Of course, Whoopi out here yet again whittling hard for Trump. I'm like, did somebody put something in her food or whatever? Because all of a sudden, yeah, she still called him you know who, but she was out here, no man is that powerful that he can't cause bad juju or whatever. But we've seen countless times that when Trump has shown up at places, teams have lost, there was chaos, people were pissed. I mean, it happened at like the U.S. Open last year, I believe, when he went, that people were, you know, things spun into chaos with them trying to get in and TSA checkpoints and all that other stuff. So yes, you have to realize that there's a reason why sitting presidents don't go to events like this, why they don't go to Knicks games, all those other stuff. Even Barack Obama at one point was like, you know what? I understand that it's going to cost taxpayers, whatever. It's an inconvenience if I'm there, if I'm going to go to certain places because it's going to cause chaos and throw things into a tailspin. So I'd rather not just be a burden in that. And that's because, well, say what you want about Obama's policies or whatever, you have every right. However, it is good to know that there are at least some people out there that put others before themselves, have genuine concerns and interests, and have something called empathy. We already know because this man's brain is rotting in real time as we speak, and we see him sundowning and all those. Oh, don't even get me started. Speaking of sundowning, this motherfucker shows up at the Knicks game and falls asleep. So you did all of this, caught, threw New York into a tailspin to fall asleep in a suite while the Knicks is playing? How, Sway? People would have, like, just that whole situation just irritated me. And then, so yeah, there was that mess, but I do want to show y'all this segment in regards to the thing, because Whoopi apparently got mad at Sonny, but Sonny got a lot of people who agree with her in this whole situation where it's like, yeah, he brought bad juju in that place. Even Cardi B herself said it, that the energy was off. There was a lot of people that were saying it, and I got the clips. So without further ado, we're going to play this segment. I'm a side-eye Whoopi while I let this video rock, because I'm like, sometimes I used to always get annoyed when Whoopi would just be like, oh, she don't have nothing to say. She just be there just being a lump on a log. But I feel like that she just pipes up during the wrong time. It's like, ma'am, sometimes you just be piping up on the wrong shit and saying the dumbest shit. So yeah, let's play this clip and we'll come back and talk.
Well, a lot of Knicks fans are not happy with you-know-who right now. He came into town, messed up everything. You couldn't go, you couldn't make a left, couldn't make a right, couldn't go across the street. You couldn't buy anything. What the? And they're blaming. I mean, look at that. I mean, it's crazy. Wow. These people have been waiting for this to happen. And so this man comes in and he's a fan and okay, but my goodness. And they are blaming him for ending the Knicks' winning streak last night. No, now. Come on now. They were not playing great ball. Yeah. That was on us. This guy, I have to just reiterate the fact that this man does not have that kind of power.
That's bullshit. I mean, I already gave my multiple factors. Sorry, I had to cut it, but I got to get this in before I forget. I already explained to y'all the multiple factors that played into the Knicks losing last night, but also when you sit up there and say, this man does not have that kind of power, bitch, are you blind? Are you slow? He is the president of the United States. The man has a lot of power. The man has been doing a lot of things going against our government, creating all kinds of chaos, breaking all kinds of laws that he has not been held accountable for, steamrolling over things, letting the Supreme Court just give him whatever the hell he wants with no pushback from all the other sides. Now, some of them, a little bit of them are starting to pipe up or whatever cases and putting the kibosh on certain things. But this man has steamrolled, came in with like a wrecking ball, minus Miley Cyrus, and just wrecking shop politically on this country. But he don't have that kind of power. He's doing all the things that no other president has done in our lifetime. But he don't have that kind of power. You can't tell Mango Mussolini what he can and cannot do. The motherfucker gonna do whatever the hell he wants, but he don't have that kind of power. You see all the chaos that he threw all of us in yesterday coming into New York, but he don't have that kind of power. The fuck is she talking about? And this is what irritates me about corporate centrist media. They continue to give y'all this Disney-fied version of how the world is actually operating and what's going on, but then we've been sounding the alarm. It's like you got to go on pundits like myself and so many others that are going to give you the reality of what's going on. But they're going to paint this picture of like, oh no, it's not as bad as they trying to make it out to be. And you already know what the media circus, so, salivating at the mouth of all of this other stuff, they're going to heighten it times 10. So the fuck you talking about, older man?
We have to remind people, he doesn't have the power. And I see your face and I know how you feel and you can say what you want. But
Sonny is me.
By saying that it's his fault that we lost means that there's no responsibility taken.
Partially
these guys were not playing at their best yesterday.
And they know that.
And
they know that.
Yeah, and they know it. So, but people are really upset because the security apparently was insane at the Garden. And fans at nearby watch parties didn't hide their feelings either about being there. But he he remembers the game a little bit differently. Take a look.
Last gleaming, whose brush stripes and bright stars through the clouds.
He got booed at the watch parties.
When they had the camera on me, I thought it was very good. Yeah, it was certainly amazing. It was. I think mostly cheers. It was loud and it was very enthusiastic.
The delusion.
It was really enthusiastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got that for you. But
Yeah.
I have to focus on something other than Donald Trump because I think these Knicks have been so dialed in and phenomenal. And a big shout out to the Spurs because if you love the sport, you will love these games you're watching. I was really upset about the Wembanyama Jalen Brunson moment, which was not called or seemingly even seen by the refs. But to me, like, I'm a big believer and
They saw it, they didn't give a shit. And that motherfucking giraffe looking bastard, he was getting on my goddamn nerve. Have you seen his mother? That bitch got a long ass neck. That's why he looked the way he looked.
See that?
Yeah.
And they didn't call it.
They didn't call it. And I'm not one to blame the refs. Like you said, Whoopi, the Knicks came out and it was almost like there were, whether it was nerves, I mean, they had so much riding on this game, the pressure of it all. They were not themselves in the beginning. But the Spurs did an amazing job, but I don't like dirty basketball. And basketball players, Shaquille O'Neal was fighting the case that this is what goes on. I, as a non-NBA player, but frequent and long-time watcher, I don't like dirty play. Don't go after people. Win on the court and by the rules. I don't mind if there's contact, but when there's another play that I don't even think we have pulled up where I want to say it was Harper or Castle, one of the Spurs players, runs straight in like you would on a football team. These men are not wearing armor. Like if you want to play like that, go on a football field.
How long you been watching basketball?
Forever.
Okay. Do you remember the Pistons under Lambeer? And they would get off the bus. In they street clothes and be fighting. And that's good basketball.
It's a contact sport.
Yes.
I think it was a very physical game. It was a very physical game. I've seen games like that before. I wasn't troubled by what I saw.
Wembanyama throwing Jalen Bread the head. I feel like that was out of bounds.
I think both teams were very, very physical with each other. Actually,
well, they didn't get called both ways.
You saw people.
Exactly.
That part, but I think there are a lot of conspiracies going around about how the refs want more revenue, and so of course they want more games, and so they don't want to sweep in for it. And, all of these things may be in play, but for me, what is also in play is that we had an impeccable vibe in New York.
That's right.
Until the Orange Man showed up and put the bad juju on the Madison Square Garden. Now we're going to have to go back in and stage the whole Madison Square Garden to get all the bad juju out. But I will also say, this. It costs so much money to secure Madison Square Garden. It cost New York millions of dollars for Donald Trump to come to the game where he was not cheered, he was booed.
That's right.
And during which he fell asleep.
Yes.
That was the part that got me.
So for me,
do we have it?
just fall asleep. Fall asleep somewhere else. Don't bring your bad karma vibe to New York.
Look, sleep.
New Yorkers are taking out second mortgages to afford tickets to this game. And this guy's falling asleep. What is happening? But my thing from a political perspective is you never, as a politician, do this. You do not go to an NBA Finals game when there's a winning streak, because if they lose, everyone will blame you. All of New York will blame you. I called it yesterday. Like, whether it's true or not, listen, it wasn't the final.
Juju is true.
It was not the final. But the vibe shift is real, because what it takes to secure Madison Square Garden, you didn't have the outdoor parties. They were moved outside of a perimeter.
That's where you saw
and vendors and restaurants lost so much money. Bars lost money.
My commute was shot.
He jacked the whole thing up. And talking about politics, James Dolan, the owner of the Knicks, he has contributed more than $1.1 million to fund supporting Trump's 3 campaigns. And he also allowed him
for security.
And people forgot that he allowed him to use the Garden for a political rally at the close of the 2024 election.
So
the juju was already.
I forget the rally. I worked at Chair.
He does Dolan does tend to give money to both.
Yeah.
He does.
But he gave money.
The one thing I'll say in defense of Trump is he has loved the Knicks since the Knicks were terrible. He's been consistent as a fan. Yeah, it's not like he's dropped in as a fair weather fan.
He was a New Yorker, right?
But it didn't need to be this game. It was always going to.
No, and look, you trying to fight to have money to give to people who did bad stuff. Give us some of that money so we can pay the people.
Can we have the money back?
So we can give some of that money back to the people who have worked their behinds off to come out and do this. Because had you not come,
that's right,
people would have been able to be at the watch party outside of the and perhaps the fights that happened in places like Bryant Park would not have happened.
We lost money as a city because he went to sleep.
Yeah.
But here's my problem.
What's your problem?
Why didn't he just stay his ass in D.C. and watch from the house?
Yeah.
Watch from the house like other Americans watch from the house.
He got a big UFC cage.
That's right. So he could have watched
party there. Because he had more space in that box to lay out and sleep. Because when we did, he was laid up.
But I gotta give it up to New Yorkers.
Yes.
That was Showtime at the Apollo level booing yesterday. I give it up. He got booed. I was waiting for Sandman to come out.
He got booed.
It was good. It was good.
The Knicks are still one of the greatest of all time.
Yes.
Right. They will, whatever happens from here on out, I can't be mad at them because they have given us a party. They have given New York light and shiny, and we love it. And we're going to always celebrate that as we will celebrate wherever we end up on Thursday.
You mean Wednesday, sis. The game 4 is tomorrow at the Garden. So, and speaking of that, just to let y'all know that because of the backlash, Trump will not be at the game 4 at Madison Square Garden. That was what came out. They said it, like I said, scheduling conflicts, whatever the case was. But I'm like, is it the same scheduling conflicts that caused him to not go to Don Jr.'s wedding? Because he need to go play golf or whatever the case was. So yeah, it's like in that whole situation, I totally 110% agree with Sonny. I don't know what's going on with Whoopi as of late, but you can't sit up there and say nobody's that powerful that they can't do whatever. The man is the leader of the free world in layman terms. I mean, I don't know how free we are at this point because we're living under a situation quite like we've never seen before. But he is the leader of the free world. And a lot of times when you are the president of the United States, some people, I guess, in his situation, he feels like he could do whatever the hell he wants. So, and that comes with, of course, things have to get shut down because at the end of the day, whether or not you agree with his policies, you have to do what you got to do to protect the president and make sure something crazy doesn't happen. Because we don't need something to happen like, the movies back in the 90s where they would be like a politician, whatever, will come to a hockey game or a basketball game, whatever the case was, and some terrorist attack or something might happen. You don't want it to be like some big Michael Bay action movie type situation. So yes, all these things got to be put in place to protect the commander-in-chief. So for Whoopi to say that, I was like, girl, you really ain't been paying attention to what's going on in the world. But so yeah, in regards to the whole The View situation, I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments down below. And last but certainly not least, we got to talk about Belcalis Almanzar, aka Cardi B, who was there yesterday at the Knicks game. She was there performing during the halftime, Ms. Bodega Baddie. That was one of the songs she performed. She was there. And I wish they would have televised it, but they don't be televising the halftimes or whatever. But so Miss Cardi, even though he is the first sitting president ever to attend, she hopped on Instagram early Tuesday, that's today, which she spoke on Trump being in the building and the dark vibe he brought to the arena. So when you talk about there was no bad juju and all this other stuff, Whoopi, you weren't there yesterday, so you could sit up there and spew that bullshit in front of a live studio audience and millions of people watching at home. But I'm going to take the word of somebody who was actually in the room over someone who was not. So I have that clip of Ms. Belcalis giving her opinion. We're going to watch that clip and we're going to come back and we're going to talk. Hold on a second. Please hold the line.
I had a blast. The Knicks lost, but I'm still so proud of them. And I'm still so proud of them because it's just like, you know, it's not like they lost by like mad points and shit like that. Like they was working. It's just like it is what it is. On Wednesday, I think before the game, all Knicks fans should get on my live and we should pray all together. I think we should do we should have a prayer circle for the Knicks to win. Wemby in person really look like a giraffe. He is so tall. I never see somebody so tall before. It's like, wow. What the fuck? That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. From like I said, fuck. He said he bad luck. It probably was. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. You can't stop the president from fucking going to a game. But it did feel a little dark in there. But it's okay. Like, you know how you always wonder how they look? Yeah, I saw them in person. They was like in front of my car. They was making us do mass circles, man, everything. I wasn't even gonna complain because I kind of get it, but it was like, wow. It felt kind of dark. It felt like you know what? How it felt like in there? It felt like the principal was there and everybody had to be like on their best behaviors and shit like that. But nevertheless, you know, sorry, y'all. I be hearing noises. I be getting scared. I know I have security and everything, but you just never know. After Pop Smoke died and everything, I was like, all right, I need to start hiring security for outside my home. And I don't give a fuck. That's what I do. That's why I can never run out of money. I cannot sleep if I don't got security outside my crib. I mean,
I was like, do what you got to do, sis. You already saw what recently happened with Rihanna and that pow that happened in her house. So you got to do what you got to do.
I'm pretty sure if you cross this gate, you gonna die. I don't got just security outside. I got retired cops that are straight connected to the motherfucking county shit. My son had a blast. He was so freaking happy. He's always asking for the phone. He did not ask for the phone not one time. He was having a blast. He was cheering. He was jumping. Usually, he'll be asking for his phone. You look slow.
Okay, sis. So, I mean, I don't know how I feel about a kid that age having a damn phone, but she the mama. And if you like it, I love it. But, I do agree with her with all the things that she said that, you know what, unfortunately is like having to do with the chaos. And like I said before, she was there. She understood like the chaos and everything that was going on. So I'm going to go with somebody who was there and understands the situation. Now, Whoopi, you sure that the president don't have as much power as you claim? Because I got one more video. There's this one from that I saw online that what's his name? He goes by the name of Jack Settleman on Instagram. I believe it was Snapback Sports. And I'm not really familiar with his business or whatever the case was, but he was there yesterday. And his video, he said last night was not worth the $9,000 he spent on a damn ticket. So we're gonna watch that clip because I got one more for you, Miss Karen Johnson. Since the president don't have as much power as you claim. And we're going to come back and talk. Please hold again.
All right, Knicks lose game 3. And I'll be honest, that was not one of my favorite crowds at MSG. And as someone who spent $9,000, if anyone was going to cope and lie and say, oh, that experience was amazing, and it was a good one, don't get me twisted, but that was just a weird crowd. Now, I talked to a couple fans in my section, one Lakers fan posing as a Knicks fan, some others who didn't really seem like diehards. Now, I've been to expensive games in the Garden before. I know that there's rich, wealthy people who spend money and who are crazy loud fans. But tonight it just wasn't it. And maybe it was because of Trump. Just politics aside, isn't your purpose to serve? I just don't understand. If you knew how much of an issue it was going to be for people to get into the arena, like, couldn't you have just stayed home? I've been to Trump sporting events before, and it has been quick. But, God, they really made this thing a scene. I mean, even after the game, Trump left with 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. So we're an hour and a half after. And still, we're blocked off. I had to walk 5 blocks just to get down there. It really, I think he may have killed part of the crowd. I think the price of the ticket may have priced out some of the better fans. it was a great time because the bar for a Knicks finals game was amazing. And like, you knew it was going to be great, but I thought this had best sporting event of all time opportunity. And even if the Knicks had come back and won, it just wouldn't have been that. It just wouldn't have been that. And that's just my transparent, honest thoughts. I still like the Knicks in the series in 6. I thought they would lose tonight. They go back to San Antonio after Wednesday, hopefully up 3-1. We go from there. All right.
So there you have it. And that's why I said Knicks in 6, yeah, so they can come back home and play. Because I think that game 6 will be I think they come back to New York for that one. And they that was the night that they moved Rosalia to the 18th or whatever the case was. So yeah. So I'm with him. I'm also with Cardi, where, because there was 115 and 111. That's basically the score from yesterday. And I agree with Cardi because she said before game 4 on Wednesday, they got to host, she want to get on IG Live and host a prayer circle with, the fans and all that other stuff, which I'm actually here for. I would definitely love to see them do like a whole prayer circle situation. That would actually be pretty funny to get all that bad juju about it. There was one woman I saw on social media that was like, yeah, we need to get the sage burning up in there. We need to get the ancestors to kind of come and get rid of all that negative ass energy. But that is crazy that the fact that you stayed with a couple of 10 minutes left in the 4th, and then you decide to leave, which of course is going to cause more chaos because you have to be able to get to your motorcade. The car's got to be able to get out of there. People still have to find ways to go around. Because I thought that I hope it wasn't a horrible experience for the people that worked there that had to leave. Because one of the things is that food and bev and all them, they leave before the guest services, GRs and stuff, because y'all got to, and security, because you got to make sure everybody's out the building before y'all are dismissed. Or before, us as employees are dismissed. Food and bev, they can leave. Because, they shut things down. Like the bars and everything shuts down for Knicks, I think the beginning of the 4th. I know for the Rangers, it's always 10 minutes left in the 3rd. Period. So, and then for concerts, it's always 30 minutes before the end of the show. So they always, food and bev and them, they always leave first. But the rest of us, we got to sit and stick around and wait and get caught up in the chaos like the fans do. So, unfortunately, everybody had to deal with what they had to deal with. And I just hope that in the future, we don't have to endure any more of this foolishness. And I hope that the Knicks won't have to be forced when they win the series, this season, but then won't have to be forced to have to go to the goddamn White House. And then Trump sits up and they act like he knows who everybody is and then just makes it about himself like he does every time somebody does. And then try to steal a damn trophy because he liked doing that too. So this was a long segment. I think we took a whole hour to break all this down. But yeah, this is like one of the biggest stories that's going on right now. So I had to break it on down. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of all of this? Everything that we touched on in this topic pertaining Trump showing up at the Garden and getting booed. Shocker there. Whoopi Goldberg's comments about the whole situation and what the other ladies of The View had to say, and as well as Cardi B, who performed during halftime, her overall thoughts, because she was in the middle of this tornado of Hurricane Trump, I should call it. So whatever your thoughts are on all of it, let me know in the comments down below. Oh, I forgot to use this damn thing. I was like, whatever your thoughts are, because I forgot to click over to the other thing. Let me know in the comments down below. All right, so now we got a lot of comments. Let me open up the thing. I hear that some black people boycotting Asian businesses after that. Oh, wait, which one? Is it the one where the guy went and the Asian guy went and shot that pow that guy the kid in the back that they thought was stealing? Or is it the situation with the latest where that kid killed that white kid and he said in self-defense and they basically just sentenced him, found him guilty? And the cancellation of the Hudson. Oh yeah, I heard about the whole swastika thing. I'm still trying to understand all of that. That may be a conversation for tomorrow. So I didn't know they put a swastika on my face. So, child, nobody took pictures? Nobody showed you what was on your face? Come on now. There hasn't been a sweep at the championships for nearly a decade, and with sports betting being so pervasive among players, it will probably, there's a lot of scams and things going around. I turned the volume down. Who was the Step and Fetch singing? Not the Step and Fetch It. First of all, the guy that Avery is his name. Wouldn't categorize him as a Step and Fetcher. He is a member of the LGBT community. He's one of us. He's on Broadway. He's a Broadway performer. He always sings the national anthem whenever he's at home. Not all the time, but he sings a lot of the times there. So, him singing there, what was he supposed to do? Not do it? That's his regular thing that he does. He comes and sings the national anthem. The last time that I worked the Knicks game, he was there and he performed. I think he performed I don't know. I wasn't paying attention because there was a lot going on. And when I'm on the floor, I really don't have time. When I'm courtside, I don't have time to pay attention to who's where, who's doing what. I'm focusing on getting people where I need to get them. And so, CEOs, business people, all the other stuff. So that's where my mind is. So I don't know. I think he performed the other day when we had the watch party. But so he does a lot of the at-home games. But him being, what was he supposed to do? Be like, I'm not going to perform because Trump's there? Like that would just be stupid. You got to do, at the end of the day, the show must go on. You got to do what you got to do regardless of who's in the building. Because apparently there was somebody else that was courtside that was apparently in the Epstein files. They mentioned that the other day, some CEO or whatever that was there with his girl or whatever. And then we saw like Alvarado. There was a situation where he fell on top of Bloomberg. I don't mean to laugh, but Bloomberg, and then I guess that was his son, his grandson or somebody that was with him and was like, are you all right or whatever? He was like, yeah, I'm good or whatever, but he looked like he was in pain. But that's what happens when you courtside. Y'all cannot be with a couple of feet in the grave and then sitting courtside and don't think that there's going to be a lot of shit going on where you're going to have flying athletes coming at you. Y'all need to be in the suite. I know y'all want to be in close proximity because I want to flaunt your money. But if you're going to get hit, you got to know that comes with the territory. He fell asleep during the game, wasting money, but he don't care. Of course, and we're paying for it. Kai Trump needs to get away from him knowing his ass. Well, she a bird too. You can say F Trump to Donald, but she's 19. I'm 18. Fuck her too. That thread had my sides written. Now, knowing people Kai's age hate her and they're men, I'm breathing. People coming to age on the second administration is our future, just like the ones that grew up under the first administration. But didn't a lot of them vote for him? I saw the owner of the New England Patriots was there. Everybody and a mama was there, which I thought was hilarious. I was like, look, all these, and that was the thing too that was unfortunate. I feel like everybody in that room was somebody who had a lot of money. And so the real Knicks fans were not in. I mean, I'm sure there were probably like some real Knicks fans in there, but according to the people, it didn't feel like real Knicks fans was in there. It was all about wealth and money and stuff. And so the real people that wanted to be in those rooms couldn't be in there. That's why I actually like the watch parties, because the watch parties, you had like the real fans up in there and they really seemed like they were happy to be in there and they were enjoying themselves and they got to feel like they were a part of something, and the energy, you just felt it. Whereas you get all these people with all this money that just want to go around and flaunt and show out and all this other stuff. They're there and it's like, it's just different. On The View, Whoopi was trying to say it's not Trump's fault. That gives him too much power. She needs to look at the chain of events. It's the devil in your space. It's the devil in your space, so it's definitely his bad. She don't. Sometimes I'll be like, girl, please. Like, I can't with her sometimes. Trump showed up and there's crazy entry procedures, brawls outside. Oh, yeah, I saw them. They was fighting when the damn Knicks lost. A bunch of goddamn incels, these groypers and all them outside fighting each other. I'm like, what are y'all doing? This is why we can't have nice things. Because it's like, a lot of y'all don't know how to act. Y'all want to climb fucking buildings and scaffolding and traffic poles like y'all some damn Magilla gorillas. Like y'all freaking King Kong. And I ain't just saying, it was black, white, everybody was doing. It's like, what are y'all doing? Now, if y'all fall and break something and snap your neck, then whose fault is it? Yeah, you said when there were incident-free watch parties before. He has heinous energy that's spread there, just like it's affecting the country. Absolutely. And everywhere he goes, we know that he did go after Sucker Ass Smith. We talked about that. They was about his IQ was too low, and Sucker Ass Smith did clap back. He said, I'll put my IQ up against yours. And I'm like, well, finally, some of y'all actually grown some brass balls, but I don't feel bad for Sucker Ass Smith because this is the same ninja that ran around telling everybody we need to vote Republican just once. You could suck my dick from the back. I'll never do that. I mean, and y'all already know, I'm starting to question the Democrats. It's like, y'all gotta work for my motherfucking vote. I ain't just gonna give it to you just because you expect it because I'm a man of color that I will automatically gonna vote blue no matter who. I don't think so. Sonny's marriage being on the rocks seems to be affecting her judgment. Is it? Is her marriage on the rocks? Because remember, there was a point where allegedly, didn't her husband get caught up in some sexual harassment situation or some scheme? There was some type of scam or something that was going on. Not sexual harassment, because the way Sonny be talking, like if her man look at any kind of woman wrong, in a weird way, she gonna cut his dick off and balls. Quiet as it's kept. I think she already got him in a damn vice or in a box somewhere in the house. Or they probably use that cube from Hellraiser to be doing some weird, pleasurable sexual shit. So, I haven't heard anything about her marriage being on the rocks because I remember there was some situation was going around that was like going around where they were saying like he was doing some type of white collar crimes with medical stuff and taking money, kickbacks and all the stuff. But then I heard that they dismissed that case. We talked about that a long time ago. He said, I'm so sick, unless you heard something I didn't, I am so sick and tired of these black folks singing national anthem for this chicken shit country a couple hours ago. Well, here's the thing. That is just a tradition that we do at sports games. As many games that I have worked between Citi Field with the Mets, the Knicks, the Rangers, and everything in between, it's just something that is a part of the country. Whether we agree with it or not, it is what it is. It's a part of the thing. That's what they do. So, Whoopi can't take a joke. He showed up and suddenly their winning streak, I think we were trying to say, lost. The same thing could be said about Cardi performing halftime. Trump brought with him an energy that soured the room. Absolutely. And the fact that the Carmelo Anthony trial, funny enough, I hate the fact that he has that name because every time I hear Carmelo Anthony, I think of Lala ex-husband, the former Knick. Speaking of Knicks, I have no idea Jalen Brunson's father used to play for the Knicks in the 90s, back when they made it to the finals and they was up against the Spurs. So if they win, the Knicks, when they win, this is why I said this is our lick back to get from them what happened in the 90s. It's the fact that Jalen's father was a part of that. Now he gets to be a part of it as an assistant coach, but the son, because of the son, they actually get to give the trophy, whereas he couldn't back in the day. So that's what we need. We need that lick back. I'm not a superstitious person, but when you are surrounded by vile people, your emotions and physical health will suffer. I do believe that. My thing is, I believe in the exchange of energy. Because when you're someone who is an empath, when you're somebody who feeds off of, like, if you're in a room with people and you just feel like somebody's energy is off, it just makes me feel uncomfortable. It makes me feel away. So I totally get when they talk about, there's a sense of just funky ass energy. And his energy always, like his body odor, it stink. He got funky ass energy. And so, I think there was a lot of that. I think also with the Knicks, they were extremely anxious because there was a lot of pressure. It's like you got Trump and all these other celebrities that's coming up in there, making it about them. You also have the pressure of New York, because I'm sure they've been hearing like how the energy of New York is. It's been 50 some odd years since we actually won a championship. So there's that pressure. Plus on top of that, it's like coming back in the Garden, that energy and everything that's going on. So there's so much riding on it. I just hope that tomorrow when they get out in that court, that they'll kill all the noise, all that extra stuff that they put. And then plus the media was just like eating all this up because this is good for their algorithm and good for their situation. I just hope that they'll be able to just tune out the noise, focus, communicate as they've been communicating as a team, and kick the Spurs' ass. Yeah, the SpongeBob ice cream was sending me when she was eating that. Black Love is in the building. Ugh. Bowen Yang left SNL after feeling now central and important to the show. Like only used to be gay stereotypes or other stuff. There, where Kate McKinnon was allowed to be more than a stereotype. Well, good for him. Child, I heard about Joel Kim Booster and allegedly Gus Kenworthy. Apparently they like the booger sugar. And there was an event that Gus was at. And I heard he was snorting K. So now we out here snorting elephant tranquilizers. Allegedly. The Asian man who shot the black kid, he was found not guilty. Oh yeah, I remember that. Wasn't there a situation where, and that's why I always find it funny, because even if you look back at stuff like Sinners even point out the whole thing of like how black people took Asian people in our communities and let them have businesses and all this other stuff. And then when the shit hit the fan, they showed out and showed their racist colors. And so it kind of plays into that black people will Asian people will put their businesses in our neighborhoods, take our money, but then the stereotypes will ring when they need them to ring. And then you take it upon yourself to chase some kid who didn't even steal nothing from your store. And then you go and pow him in the back and you found him guilty. You found him not guilty. So you get away with it. Hence why we had to have Black Lives Matter, because clearly in the eyes of the Lord, they don't matter. So the fact that people still don't get that pisses me off. We wouldn't need a Black Lives Matter situation if y'all actually treated all human beings equally. I just saw on the news, fans standing outside MSG trying to save them. That is funny. If I could actually sneak Sage in and light it up and wave it around up in that bitch, I would. But we go through metal detectors. I even had one person ask me one time because they caught something on the thing. It was like, "Do you got a weapon in your?" I said, "No, I don't carry no weapons in my bag. Fuck, I need a weapon for." But I was like, "No, I ain't got no weapon up in there." I was like, "I don't know what you're looking at on the thing, but it ain't no." So, wish I could bring Sage up in there to light it and do that. But if I did that, they'd be seeing him in the camera like, "What the fuck is he doing?" I'm like, I'm Sage of the place because you know who. And if I do that, they're going to fire me. So I'm not trying to do nothing that crazy. I'll let y'all do that. Stand outside, nam yo ho renge kyo, do all that shit on outside and burn the sage, do all that other stuff. Because, child, when I be talking about negative energy, I know about negative energy. Me being around my brother anytime, I feel it. So I definitely know it firsthand. I did some quick research after you mentioned it, and I don't understand how someone would be obvious to what's a DE symbol? Oh, he's on a, never mind. I know he's about. He was around a bunch of white. Of course he was. And it's funny how Hudson Williams is part Asian. I think he's Korean. You know how a lot of these coloreds get when they half white. The racism be showing. Don't get me, never mind. Y'all get, shit, I can't even talk. You said, don't get me wrong, none of us are perfect and none of us would survive a gotcha moment. But every time I hear about Hudson, it's never positive. Sure, he was at a party, but it's giving Triple K meet up. Well, look, remember there was a point where people came, not somebody putting in a laugh emoji. Remember when, people was getting on Lady Gaga for doing blackface? It didn't seem to hurt her career. But anyway, let's get back into the show because that was crazy. That one segment, it was literally an hour, but it was worth the hour. It was a lot of stuff that we had to get into and break on that down, and that was one of the biggest topics of the day. But anyway, let's get back into Mo Mess, and let's talk about Chanta, who is in the news because JFK Jr.'s nephew, what is his name? Jack Schlossberg, who I don't particularly care for him because politically he's a fucking Zionist. If you check into with his stuff, you'll know what I mean. But because it is about the Queen of Pop, we care about him today. So Mr. Schlossberg found himself in the hot seat when he went on Andy Cohen's podcast with an unexpected question about his late uncle's sex life. So y'all remember that Madonna recently did this Grindr in a Q&A type of situation where she sat down with Bob the Drag Queen and a bunch of other homosexuals. And she revealed that JFK Jr. was, because she said, I'm not going to talk about the ones that's alive that blew my back out. We're going to talk about the one that's dead because, you know, I want to hurt the living feelings. She said he was the best frack of her life. And so Jack Schlossberg basically responded to what the Queen of Pop had to say. So we do have that clip. We're going to play that clip, and hopefully it won't affect the monetization. But if it does, I'll just edit it out. But we'll come back and we'll talk, please.
What is your favorite family heirloom that you own of your grandfathers or your uncles? Or
this is my favorite tie.
And
it's JFK's tie. I wear it for good luck. And today was a big day for me because I am with Andy Cohen, okay, who is the coolest.
You're telling me that's your grandfather's tie?
Yeah, I have 5 ties. I only wear 5 ties ever. This is one of them.
Wow.
And
do you have any of your Uncle John's ties?
I have like a watch that doesn't work. He lost most of his clothes, apparently.
Wow.
He was given a lot of like JFK heirlooms. And I think he lost them all. So,
here's a random question.
Yeah.
When you hear someone like Madonna say, JFK Jr. was the best sex I ever had.
Yeah.
Do you chuckle at that, or do you? He's running for office, so he's trying to figure out what to say. Yes.
All I can say is that I bet she was right.
Yeah, right. There you go. That's a good answer.
I mean, what the fuck is he gonna say? But what she just said. But I agree. I mean, what else? I mean, he wasn't there, so it is what it is. But yeah, so hold on as I switch this whole thing out. Okay, so he has said what he has said and all this other stuff, and they said that he's running for office. Okay, that's great. I won't be voting for him, but and he said like me a couple of minutes ago when I was stumbling over my damn words. So his comment came amid renewed interest in his late uncle's life following the release of the Ryan Murphy-produced TV series Love Story, which dramatized JFK Jr.'s romance with Caroline Bessette before both were unalived in a 1999 plane crash. Donta invoked JFK Jr.'s name during a jaw-dropping conversation about sex, love, and intimacy she moderated on behalf of queer dating app Grande and in promotion of her upcoming album Confessions Part 2. Now, after Madonna confirmed her pickup for the best frack of her life, yeah, I'm going very Cylon with this language, during the conversation with the range of media personalities, designer Raul Lopez exclaimed that everyone said JFK's dick was crazy. Well, the junior, not senior, because he was laying low and spreading it wide too. Now, Cohen also spoke to Schlossberg about family heirlooms, particularly those from his grandfather JFK and his uncle, or his grandfather JFK and his uncle. So, and then he said, this is my favorite tie is JFK's tie. I wear it, and we don't really need to go into all of that because we already heard it. But, yeah, it was like, what else is he going to say? I mean, he said what he said, and there's nothing else, I guess, we should talk about. It's like, well, I guess if she said he was the best frack of her life, then we just got to go along with it. I mean, they was the ones that was in the room together. And, you know, some people sit and say, well, they wasn't really lovers. It was just a fling. But that's what somebody else said. Well, who gives a fuck? The fact of the matter is she was butt naked in the room. He said she had a great body, JFK Jr. Madonna spread her legs, laid alone and spread it wide for JFK Jr. Got a piece of that Schlossberg, even though that ain't his last name. And she said that was the best leg. So what else are you going to say? Oh, and also I did hear that Andy Cohen, I think he did say on his YouTube, I mean, in not the YouTube, but on this show, whatever the case was that he does, Radio Andy, I think he spoke about his current relationship with that man that he's hunching. I was trying to see if I could find the clip. I mean, I'm not going to play it because I don't give a fuck. But he did say something other that I believe that, in so many words, he is smitten, he's over the moon, and he's in love. So he found the one for now, we'll say that. Because, and I'm like, yeah, I'm glad you found the one after fucking how many ninjas? He loved fantasizing and playing with the nipples of young black men when he wants to lay it low and spread it wide. But when it's time to take somebody home to mama, we already know which way you gonna go. And he's gonna look more like Jack Schlossberg than Coleman Domingo. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story in regards of Jack Schlossberg revealing on Radio Andy that he co-signs what Madonna had to say about JFK Jr., that he probably was the best layer of her life. So whatever your thoughts are on this team, let me know in the comments down below. When you're good to mama, mama's good for you. Shout out to Alex Newell. He turned that out, or they turned that out the other day when they performed that at the Tonys. Andy Cohen is always asking someone about JFK Jr.'s happy adult fun time. Not only just his, but anything Madonna related too. He can't keep his name out her damn mouth. And I'm giving him the side eye. He asked SJP about, really? Question. The SJP, because I don't know, you know more about the JFK thing more than I do because I ain't watched that special or the show. Did SJP have relations with JFK Jr.? Because if he's asking his best friend, which, child, you could have asked her that behind the damn scenes. Why would you ask her that on camera? But I guess it's because at the end of the day, it's like what RuPaul has said, nothing matters unless it's on camera. So that could have been what it is too. Remember when he told that to Pearl, none of this matters unless it's filmed. So maybe that's the way he felt about asking SJP that question. You know, you've reached legendary status when you, okay, when y'all fuck a Kennedy. Ice Superman is getting dragged for coming for Supergirl looks. She dragged him saying 90s called they want their Superman. Who's Ice Superman? What's wrong with Millie Alcott? I like Millie Alcott. I liked her when she was on House of the Dragon season 1. But they moved on to a different person. And speaking of moving on to another person, we should do that ourselves and talk about Jennifer Lopez, who, while Jack Schlossberg went over there on Radio Andy, Jennifer went over there on Watch What Happens Live. And she's promoting that new movie on Netflix. I don't know how well it did, but I do have a segment coming up where we're going to be talking about, and I think it's right after this one, where we're going to talk about the Michael Jackson docuseries that's on Netflix. I do believe the numbers are in for that movie that I forgot what the hell, I don't even remember the damn name of the movie, but that's how much I care. But this is about Jennifer Tamanta. So that's the only reason why I'm bringing this topic up. So, and I think we have a clip of that, by the way. So, y'all already know back in the day about the infamous VMA performance that happened in 2003 featuring Madonna, Britney Spears, and Christina Aguilera. But some people, I don't think, knew this, even though this was revealed, I believe maybe a year or two ago, maybe longer. Jennifer Lopez was actually confirmed to be one of the original women asked to appear on stage during the set. But it was due to scheduling conflicts, she couldn't be a part of it. Because she was doing, I think she was filming a movie. I think she was filming Shall We Dance at the time. So she couldn't be there to perform alongside the Queen of Pop. So that's where, and this is where it goes to show, damn, Xtina, you always an afterthought when it comes to everything. Even though you had the pipes and everything, you always came in second. Or at this case, third. Like, Madonna didn't even think to put you up in there when it was always a Britney-Christina rivalry situation that was going on, even though technically they were from the Mickey Mouse Club. But they put Jennifer before you. And before people start saying stuff, let me just go on by saying, y'all don't remember, back in the 90s, Jennifer was that girl. Everybody was having her up in everything. She had a thriving movie career. She was selling records. She was, I don't think that the streak has been broken or that record's been broken, but she was the first singer-actress to have an album and a number one album and a number one movie simultaneously. I don't think anybody's broken that record. If they have, let me know in the comments. I can't keep track of every goddamn thing. But as far as I know in my head of delusions, she is the only artist so far that has released an album and a movie at the same time, and they both went to #1. So with that being said, yeah, she couldn't do it. So I do have that clip where Andy, who's glowing now because he getting dick on the regular, because, he got him a white man. He stopped fetishizing the Negroes. He asked Jennifer this question, and here's what she had to say. Please help.
Jennifer, this is an interesting question. I had never heard this. Brent P. emailed, is it true you were supposed to perform at the 2003 VMAs with Madonna and Britney Spears?
Yes.
You were supposed to be in that?
Yes.
What happened?
I was working on a movie, Shall We Dance, at the same time.
Yeah.
And they just wouldn't let me out of the movie. But we rehearsed and everything. I went to Madonna's house. It was me, her, and Britney. And she was like playing her guitar, and we were singing, and
was the kiss in the rehearsal?
No.
No.
Wow. No, but she said that that's what she wanted to do. It was a thing. She was like, and then we're gonna get married. I'm gonna be the groom. You guys, you're gonna sing. I was the one who's gonna come out first and sing like a virgin, and then that's I can't even remember really what it was, but it was something like that.
Right. Wow.
And then they wouldn't let me out of the movie to do
the VMAs.
To do the actual show. I remember I left on the weekend to go meet with her.
Right. Jennifer, this is an interesting question.
And I was wondering, I was trying to figure out who was the woman that was next. I'm like, is that Rebecca Ferguson? Because I couldn't figure out who that was, because it definitely looked like her. But anyway, so yeah, it's funny how Andy's like, I never heard this. I'm like, where the fuck have you been? Because that's old tea. But I guess, when you're not as in the loop like the rest of us, that's how you're going to respond. But you know what? It would have been cool to see if, for a part of that. But to be honest, I do think they made the better decision by bringing Christina up in there, because Christina needed her moment. Although I will say this, when we seen the thing, this was around the time when Britney and Justin had just broken up. So their breakup was fresh. And Madonna and Britney kissing, the camera wanted to focus so much on Justin's reaction during that time that when Madonna went to kiss Christina, you really didn't see that moment happen. So she kind of got screwed in the end, because it became more about Britney and Madonna kissing versus Christina getting in on the situation, and nobody got to see it because, like I said before, it was show Britney and Madonna kiss, then we got to go to Justin's reaction because, like I said, they had just broken up. Also, sidebar, why is Jennifer dressed like a backup dancer for Prince and the Revolution? What is this outfit? I don't get the outfit, but okay. If you like it, I love it. So yeah, they said the August 2003 ceremony conflicted with her shooting schedule for the 2004 movie Shall We Dance, a remake of Japanese filmmaker Masayuki Suo's 1996 film of the same name, and also starred Richard Gere and Susan Sarandon. And the VMA ceremony remains, as y'all know, one of the most widely discussed in pop culture history, primarily due to the opening performance by Madonna, Spears, and Aguilera. The trio kicked off the entire telecast with a medley as Spears and Aguilera walked out on stage singing Like a Virgin, and were later joined by Madonna to sing her American Life album single, Hollywood. Then they brought out Missy Elliott, who performed her hit Work It after the camera famously cut to a shot of Spears' ex, Justin Timberlake, looking shocked, I tell you, shocked over the kiss. So there was that. And then, Justin probably, and then around that time, I truly believe that because of the whole, and you can't tell me nothing else, I'm going down this hill when I say this, because of the Britney, Madonna, Christina situation, I do believe, and even though he tries to throw it all off on Janet, I do believe that in his mind of minds, but that whole thing happened with Titgate or Nipplegate, whatever the fuck you want to call it, he was looking for his less upstage Madonna, Britney, Christina moment, and decided when they did the whole Super Bowl halftime situation, let's incorporate that situation in it, and was eating it up until the backlash happened. And then all of a sudden he decided to back up. Oh, I didn't have nothing to do with it. I just went along with what I was like, but you was up in here celebrating not too long ago that you was living. It's funny how, like, when you look back on stuff, the receipts don't lie, but he's curtailed and skated through scot-free because he went begging and pleading to that no good piece of shit Les Moonves, and then Janet ended up getting blacklisted. And still, I feel like it's paying the price in so many ways, career-wise. Because with Viacom and everything, they were the gatekeepers of what was going on in regards of, promoting your music, whether they were music videos, songs, whatever. When you have this conglomerate that owns a lot of, of everything to get your music put out there, and social media wasn't what it was like it is today. If it was different than Nipplegate happened with social media, I do feel like the fans would have really still forgiven Janet and pushed her through. But because you had the gatekeepers in the music industry at the time, that's why she suffered. So as much as I would have loved to have seen she would have done in her canceled MTV VMA performance, I feel like y'all mentioned what she would have done. She just revealed that she was a part of it. She never said what she would have done. She just said that they all just met up at Madonna's house. She played the music. They sang like a virgin. She was going to come out and perform it. They were going to incorporate the kids. So basically what she's saying, without it being even said in the article, and I'm reading between the lines, that the same thing that they were all discussing, she would have been up there making out with Madonna like the rest of them girls. Her and Britney would have been kissing up on Madonna. Instead of Christina. So that's basically what I got from that, because they really didn't tell us what she would have did in the canceled performance. It probably would have just been the same damn thing. It's just, instead of Christina, you get Jennifer. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Would you have liked to have seen Jennifer Lopez, because we can't call her J-Lo and all that other stuff. Y'all call her Henny from the block and J-Lo and all that. She is Jennifer until the day I die. So, shout out to South Park, because that's where I got that from. But would you have liked to have seen Miss Jennifer Lopez in the spot instead of Christina? So, or as we like to call her, Epstein, if you're nasty. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments. Let me make sure I close out all my windows before we get to your comments. Not Dean Tanaka. Oh, that motherfucker. That fat fuck. First of all, I totally forgot about him. Like, we ain't talking about him. Who cares? And I know he's not talking. Because Dean came 20 years ago, when you were on Lois and Clark, when you was in a Broken Hearts Club playing a homosexual, that's when you was attractive. You literally look like a slanted-eyed, smeared piece of shit run over twice. I know you not talking about looks. So shut the fuck up, fat fuck. Sailor Mermaid's in the building. He said, I read this on your website and I couldn't wait for your show to find out. I don't have many nice things to say about Jennifer or Britney's shadow. But I would have loved to see a Britney, Madonna, J-Ho. You said, should albums count if it wasn't her vote? We're not doing the Milli Vanilli shit, because here's the thing. Regardless of what y'all say, the difference between Milli Vanilli and Jennifer, she sang on them songs. Yeah, she got assistants. Yeah, they left the demo, the backing vocals, all the other people that sang on the record to help fatten up her thin vocals. Yes, they did do that. However, she did get in the studio and she did record those songs. So technically, Jennifer was singing the song. I'm gonna give the credit where it's due, even if I don't particularly like the person. So she was up in there singing, but there was a lot of heavy lifting from other people, and there was artists whose the whole chorus was left on there without Jennifer even being a part of it. Or they'll probably have her come in and just sing over it, and they'll layer her vocals on top of other people's to give it a little, a little more fat on the bone. SZA broke the #1 album, #1 movie at the same time record. Did she? Was that the one she did? The movie she did with Keke Palmer? I told her I saw SZA the other day when her security paraded her through South Entry at the Garden, so that way she can get some attention from a lot of the Don Toliver fans. That shit pissed me off. That would have been cute. Shut up. Xena is always an afterthought because she's more remembered for her vocals than her actual presence. She's beautiful though, but she doesn't have the same stage aura as Britney. That was the other thing too, is that Britney worked hard. Britney was a personality, and I think the problem with someone like a Xena is she relied too much on thinking her vocals was going to be enough to push her out there. But here's the thing: when it comes to being a presence in pop, when you're a pop star, vocals is the least of your situation. It's always also, I mean, you could do the vocal, you could do the singing and stuff, but it's always about how you treat people. It's your tenacity, how hard you work. And a lot of people said that. I forgot who it was that there was an artist. Oh, Linda Perry. That's who said it. She was like, yeah, Britney wasn't the best singer in the world, but she was a hard worker. She worked her ass off to do what she had to do. So when you work your ass off and you have that tenacity or whatever, people gravitate more towards that than you having to be up there acting like you just Celine Dion, just having to stand still and sing for 2 hours, even though Celine do move around. Her Betty Gilpin from The Hunt is next to, oh, okay. I know, I thought that was Rebecca Ferguson. I was like, what's she doing on there? Prince had #1 album, song, and movie for Purple Rain. Beyonce had the #1 movie with Pink Panther and #1 song for Check on it. Well, I think what I'm saying is it's album and movie, not song. So, but this is, but we talking about, but I guess what they were talking about, like during, not in the 80s or whatever the case was, but I think what they're talking about is #1 album, which she had with J-Lo. And the #1 movie with, was that the one with Matthew McConaughey? I can't remember, but there was that whole situation. Damn, I'm going to have to Google that. Who had the #1 movie and album simultaneously? Let's see what the people say. Okay, so I think we're all right. It said Jennifer Lopez in 2001. She had it with J-Lo and The Wedding Planner. That was the one with Matthew McConaughey, right? Then they mentioned Prince with Purple Rain and When Doves Cry. But I don't know if we can talk about singles and stuff. We need to talk about album and movie. But I guess it's about the soundtrack and the movie. And Eminem, where they had 8 Mile and the Eminem Show. So, and I think Whitney Houston, we could throw her up in there too. Because, she had The Bodyguard and Waiting to Exhale. Those were like, and child, don't even get me started. The Waiting to Exhale album, let me tell you something. That album had me in a chokehold back in the day. I remember I lived for every song on that damn album. Every month falls in love sometime. It's wrong, and sometimes it's a right. Shoot, exhale. And then, of course, sitting up in my room, there were bobs all over that record. Anyway, let me stop being a mess. Oh, you talking about, oh yeah, but Bad Bunny. He was in Bullet Train, but here's the thing. He had a small part in there. Does that count? Versus like being the lead of the movie, like Eminem in 8 Mile, Jennifer as an actress, and of course Prince with that whole situation. Nipplegate happened in 2026. Part of me feels like it would have become the sacrificial lamb for the Republican Party to boycott anything. Yeah, there's always that we got to deal with too. Wiz was even asked what was his favorite VMA moment. Madonna, Britney, and the other girl, not the other girl. Plus, Britney will have the better career. Xena won't because she's a bitch. Yeah, we heard the stories about Xena not being the nicest. I believe it was the Keke Palmer movie. SOS was the #1 album at the time. Oh, you said SOS was the number one. Oh yeah. I forgot that she did that. Why am I thinking Rihanna when I think SOS? But yeah, SZA had an album called SOS too. The only way to break the record is #1 album, movie, and single like Taylor Swift did with the lyric video, film, showgirl album, Ophelia being #1 of all time. Purple Rain seems to be dismissed because it was a musical and a vanity project. Well, it was the soundtrack to a movie. It's an unpopular opinion, but there wouldn't be a Britney versus Xtina rivalry if Xtina was marketed properly. She's closer to a vocalist between Mariah, Whitney, and Celine. But because she came up in the MTV era, you know, they were trying to do the whole, we got to market you as a pop star and you're young and all that other stuff. And because of the whole Britney craze, they were, because Britney broke during Baby One More Time, at the time, they were looking for so many girls to kind of fall within that category, which is why Pink rejected that whole thing, and she wanted to kind of be the rebellious girl, and it was good for her to do that with her career. Then we got the Jessica Simpsons, the Mandy Moores, the Xtina. So all of them, they were trying to market them in that way, but Christina was the better singer. So of course they're trying to. It's all because and you know how this industry is. When one thing works, and people like that one thing that works, they always try to look for 20 versions of that same thing that works for Jive. So it worked for Jive. Now Sony want their version, Universal want their version, and all the other labels want their version. Motown want their version. Might be the only one. So it depends on how long is utilized in the film. She also didn't get a nomination for her All Too Well short film, which was basically a music video with a monologue in between. I think what they're talking about, because I don't think Taylor Swift could fit in that category. I think it has to do with theatrical film, not this little short or something that's related to an album. If you're going to make a movie and then you're making music based around that, and then the album goes with that, that makes sense. But when they're looking at the thing with Jennifer Lopez, Jennifer put out a regular album and she did a movie separate from that album. That's why I think I'm looking at it that way. It's not, oh, I did a movie and a soundtrack to that movie and it should go number one. So that's why I don't think that Purple Rain should even fit in that, because that was music based on a film. When you're talking about Whitney Houston, she did soundtracks for 2 different movies that were based around that. Although in The Bodyguard, she was playing a character, a pop star, and the music was, you know, surrounded by that. So I guess it's like, it depends on the type of what they're trying to make it as. They're already attacking James Tallarico as, oh, you talking about that ugly ass motherfucker, Stephen Miller, put that out there. It might work in Texas. The attack on Graham in Maine isn't working. It's making him more popular. Yeah, because here's the thing is that if his wife does not care that he was sexting other women, which she said she don't give a fuck, then I think more people relate to that more than ever. Like a band being like, oh, well, you out of here hooking up with other girls and your wife is okay with it? Oh, I can relate to that, because people can relate to be cheated on, or people can relate to open relationship. Quiet as it's kept. A lot of these heterosexuals running around here trying to act like their relationship is not as open. You will be surprised. A lot of them do all kinds of swinging and all that other stuff too. So for them to sit up here trying to pretend like they don't be into that, I think it's just ridiculous. It's just the reality of it is we have such a disdain for sex and sexuality in this country that, and an overall shame. But yeah, the Grand Platinum stuff is definitely backfiring. Love Taylor down, but she is not the greatest of music video directors. She wants to be in the film world so bad, but she would have better luck writing a screenplay. Something I say about Madonna. I think that Madonna needs to like leave the filmmaking to the professionals and just perform. Everybody can't do everything. I don't give a damn what everybody. You can do it all. No, the fuck you can't. Nobody can do it all. Everybody has their strengths and their weaknesses. The Toy Story 5 song, everybody is extremely happy and loving the song. It's all right. I heard it. Well, as it was explained, it is still around. Yes, she was the only one to do it. It's my M dollar. Okay, anyway, let's get back into some more hot topics, y'all. And let's talk about Michael Jackson. So even though a lot of people have been feeling ways about Michael, this new docuseries, which is called Michael Jackson, The Verdict, people are feeling ways about it. It did gangbusters on Netflix. Now, it's funny enough that this is all coming out because today, if you have not seen Michael the movie, you could actually rent it at home. You can rent it or buy it. I did look at the thing because I was up late last night because, yeah, you know, I watched the Knicks game. And then after that, I was so full of adrenaline. I was like, let me throw a movie on. So I was over on Prime Video And they had, I saw the Michael thing and I took a look. I was like, oh, let me put it in the queue so that when I get around to actually buying it, I'll buy it. It's going to cost you 25 beans to buy it, and it got the extra features and all the other stuff you want to buy over on Amazon, the digital version of it, because the physical copy and stuff isn't out yet. Or if you want to rent it at home, it'll run you a good $20. So yeah, it's out there. So let's get into the information regarding this. Shout out to Variety for this story. So yeah, the docuseries that revisits the King of Pop's 2005 trial debuted at the top of the TV charts with 17.8 million views in its first 5 days. The 3-part series premiered on June 3rd and features interviews with key people who were inside the courtroom where Jackson was acquitted of all charges, including child M-word, including jurors, eyewitnesses, accusers, and defenders. It premiered a couple of months after the blockbuster musical biopic, which stars the late Jackson's nephew, Jafar Jackson, as the Thriller singer and is endorsed by the Jackson estate. But of course, what we need to do is bring up the fact that how convenient Netflix is going to jump on this bandwagon, because I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, Netflix was in talks of producing this Michael Jackson biopic, but because things fell through and Universal ended up doing it, oh, no, it wasn't Universal, it was Lionsgate. Because Lionsgate ended up co-financing and everything. Now Netflix wants to jump on the bandwagon, and now you got people out here, but why are we bringing up an old case that he was found not guilty in being a part of? But I guess what they want to do is, y'all watch, and then they say, well, you decide what happened. It's not up to the people to decide what happened. The case is closed. It was 20 years ago. They didn't find him guilty. And now you want to come up in here and fudge the evidence and the possibility of making people wonder, well, did he deal with these children or no? And we know that people are notorious for making shit up and wanting to take advantage of the fact that Michael didn't have a childhood. He did see the innocence in children and wanted to hold on to that because that was like how pure and innocence in his own soul, because he resonated so much with Peter Pan and had the Peter Pan syndrome, as a lot of homosexuals run around here ain't ready to grow up. That's something our community deal with too. I'm not saying Michael Jackson's a homosexual, but I'm saying that we deal with Peter Pan syndrome in the in the gay community. I don't know about the lesbians, but we're going to talk about the homosexual men. So with all that being said and everything, it's just like, so I do feel like there was like this piece of him, like when everybody was trying to take advantage of him, there was this innocence that he tried to hold on to, and he lived through that vicariously through all the children that he would surround himself with. And so, of course, you would get these parents out there that wanted their kids to be in proximity of Michael, and they saw dollar signs, so they went around and was like, well, Michael did this and all these other things. Now, so I don't believe in my heart of hearts that Michael is capable of abuse, because there have been people who have come out and said that he hasn't done anything. People who are accusing him now, once upon a time, said that he didn't do anything. Now, all of a sudden, y'all trying to capitalize and get stuff, Wade Robson. And now you want to come out here and you want to get a piece of the pie, like you fucking George Jefferson, trying to move on up to the east side. So, yeah, they said it sat at the Netflix television charts for the week of June 1 through 7, followed by the limited series The Witness, 13.2 million views, and Tina Fey's The Four Seasons, Season 2, 5.2 million views in its second week on the platform. Now, on the non-English side, the Cordion drama Teach You a Lesson scored 6.4 million views in its first 3 days on Netflix at number 2, My Royal Nemesis in its 5th week on the chart, and Berlin, The Lady with an Ermine in its 4th week. Now, top of the English language film charts is the Jennifer Lopez and Brett Goldstein rom-com Office Romance, which debuted with 20.9 million views in its first 3 days on Netflix. In its first week on the platform, Creed 3 punched up to 7.9 million views. You know something? I have still not watched Creed 3. I need to get around to it. But I've seen the first Creed. I don't even think I've seen Creed 2. So I definitely need to get around to watch that. But look, it just goes to show why Jennifer Lopez, none of y'all don't care enough to go see her in a damn theater. Her movies do pretty well on Netflix. Now the question remains, is her movies that good, is good enough for repeat viewings? So yeah, then it was this story that I saw on this post. I don't know how true it is, but I did see something like this where it said longtime Netflix employee says Michael Jackson, the verdict, stories are made up for views, claims company is losing millions of subscribers. Well, I don't know how necessarily true that is. If it is, it'd be interesting to know if that is true, but I did see this was floating around, and that's why you got to be careful with stuff like this. But I know I did see this article that was an opinion story on mjvibe.com, which was saying, like, for decades, the general public has remained divided over Michael Jackson and the accusations that followed him through his life and after his death. This has always been one of the greatest frustrations for Michael Jackson fans. Despite being acquitted on all 14 counts of his 2005 criminal trial, despite years of court records, FBI files, witness testimonies, and documented inconsistencies in the various allegations made against him, the cloud of suspicion never truly disappeared. Why is that, you may ask? Because for decades, much of the media has no interest in reporting the full story. Fear sells, controversy sells, scandal sells. Now, a headline proclaiming Michael Jackson innocent never generated as many clicks as one suggesting guilt. A court decision debunking the allegation never attracted as much attention as an accusation itself. As a result, generation after generation has been fed a distorted narrative, one where allegations are treated as facts and acquittals are treated as footnotes. The media has long relied on the assumption that the public could simply accept that narrative, but what if it's finally changing? Say the first major sign may have come from the release of the biopic Michael. Before audiences even had a chance to see the films, the critics and media outlets had already made up their minds. Reviews are overwhelmingly negative, with critics dismissing the project as an attempt to rehabilitate Michael's image. The film debuted with a disappointing 39% score on Rotten Tomatoes' tomato meter. For those unfamiliar with Rotten Tomatoes, the tomato meter represents the percentage of professional critics who give a positive review. In simple forms, only 39% of critics recommended the film. The media quickly seized upon the number, declaring the movie failed before audiences had spoken. But here's the thing. Audiences went to go see it, and they loved the movie. So while you was out here hating, the audiences felt different. But in my whole situation regarding the matter, my issue was the fact that, look, if y'all don't want to cover the abuse allegations, which we already know, like we said many times, that they were trying to cover that during, when you watch the movie or whatever the case is, I wanted them to focus on whatever y'all were presenting before. It's like, I want to know who's the man behind the persona or other stuff. That's what y'all should have focused on. The fact of the Jackson 5, when Michael decided to leave the Jackson 5 after a certain point in his life because he wanted to go solo and have a career. How did his brothers feel about him leaving them behind? Because they didn't have a career unless Michael was going to be at the forefront. And the fact that he was the general talent, and the whole idea of Joe Jackson constantly putting, according to, which one was it that said it? Not Jafar, because Jafar played Michael, but it was, oh my God, one of the three T's, Taj. Thank you. Now the brain wants to work. Taj Jackson said, like, yeah, when you have been constantly told by Joseph that y'all ain't shit and that you won't have a career because of Michael, how that plays into your psyche. I would have loved to have seen that play out in the film, but I understand, like, the family probably don't want to, when it comes to Jehovah's Witnesses or people Black in general, and it comes to trauma and all other stuff, they don't want to deal with that. They don't want to relive it. But here's the thing. The only way for us to get through that trauma and that pain is to handle it head on. And so that way people can get an idea of what it is and move past it. But that's not something they want to do. So they want to do a lot of surface level stuff and just think that, well, we're not going to give you like the meat and potatoes and like really get into the Jacksons and everything that was going on in that family. We're just going to use this as a way to promote the music. So that way it gets up there and streams on Spotify, Apple Music, or whatever y'all be using to listen to the music that y'all listen to. So that's what it felt like. It felt like a 2-hour long form music video. That's what it was giving. So that was my issue with the film. The molestation stuff was like, look, if this is how y'all want to handle it, then you can handle it. But it just is what it is. So yeah, that was my overall issue with it. But like I said, the fans, they didn't care. They wanted to see how well Jafar did. They want to see the acting. They want to see the performances. If you can emulate a lot of the stuff, and yeah, it's cool if you could emulate the stuff. But as an actor, I want you to give me something to work with. And so I wanted to see Michael beyond the headlines, beyond the all the other stuff. So they said across social media, podcasts, YouTube channels, and online discussions, more people are openly questioning allegations they once accepted without scrutiny. They're examining the Chandler allegations. They are revisiting the Arvizo case. They are looking into the claims made by Wade Robson and James Safechuck. They are asking questions about the Casio allegations. Whether one agrees with every conclusion or not, what is changing is the people are no longer accepting media summaries at face value. They're looking directly at the source material and identifying contradictions, inconsistencies, and omissions for themselves. In many ways, internet generation has become far less willing to trust traditional gatekeepers. And I think that's what's annoying people about the media. And yeah, you can say that has to do with the Trump fake news stuff, but he's just somebody who doesn't want to be held accountable for the crazy stuff that he does. He doesn't want y'all to just go along with whatever. And if he says that fake news, they're lying, whatever, a lot of the people that are in the cult will believe it. But in this situation, I do feel like in life, you need to have critical thinking skills. A lot of people don't have them. So you should question everything. You should kind of look at things and be like, if I agree with that, if I believe that, oh, maybe I should do research and try to find out more information on this situation so that way I can make up my own mind. Nobody should ever just blankly accept what is being given to them at face value. You should go around and question everything. It used to get me in trouble all the time. But one of the things my mother was like, yeah, you need to go around and question everything. So I'm glad that my parents always distilled in me that, yeah, like when it comes to things in life, you shouldn't just accept things blankly and go along with it. You should question it. I was a nuisance when I was growing up. I questioned my teachers. I questioned when I went to school and had to do communion, confirmation, all the church stuff. I was questioning religion. They used to hate my guts because I was questioning every goddamn thing. But my thing was, I never cared. So when it came down to that, I was like, I'm going to ask questions regardless. And if you're going to tell me, well, why, like, if I can't ask, why not? Why was always my favorite word. So, then they were talking about in this article when Netflix misread the room. So they were saying that the 3-part documentary visits Jackson's 2005 criminal trial through interviews with attorneys, journalists, former associates, and individuals connected to the case. On paper, it appeared to be exactly the type of project that made outlets traditionally celebrate. And critics did. The series earned a respectable 71% tomato meter score, which goes to show it's funny how this comes up and automatically the tomato meter goes up, but because of the movie, y'all give it a low grade. So they were basically praising the presentation and courtroom analysis, but they said that the audiences weighed in. The result was astonishing. While critics approved, viewers overwhelmingly rejected the documentary, producing a dismal 6% popcorn meter score. The contrast could not have been more dramatic. So yeah, when you look at the movie, the tomato meter had 39%. And the popcorn meter, which of course is the fandom, 97%. When you look at the tomato meter, which is critics, 80% for the documentary, Michael Jackson, The Verdict, 8% popcorn meter. So there's clearly a disconnect between the fandom. So now for comparison, Dan Reed's Leading Neverland received a near perfect 98% critic score in 2019, while audiences awarded it just 26%. The pattern is becoming difficult to ignore. Now, increasingly, there appears to be a widening gap between what professional critics think the public should believe and what the public actually believes. Now, across Twitter and other social media platforms, reactions are swift and brutal. Now, many viewers describe Michael Jackson, The Verdict as unnecessary, biased, one-sided, and irrelevant. Calls for Netflix boycotts quickly spread online, not only among longtime fans, but also among casual observers who felt the platform was once again reopening a case that had already been decided in court. Now, one viral post summed up the mood, saying Netflix canceled. Reason, you're opportunistic slandering of Michael Jackson. You come after Michael, you come after the billions who love him. No need for Netflix anymore. Good riddance, goodbye. Now, whether one agrees with such reactions or not, they highlight something significant. The backlash was no longer coming exclusively from the fan community. A growing segment of the public, the general public, feels apparently exhausted by what they perceive as endless attempts to relitigate accusations while ignoring outcomes that do not fit the preferred narrative. Adding to the irony, Netflix's share price has been trending downward since the announcement and release of Michael Jackson. The verdict. No serious analyst would suggest a 3-part documentary alone is responsible for the company's stock performance, but it does highlight a stark contrast between Netflix expectations and overwhelmingly negative reaction the series has received from viewers. So, they also said people today are increasingly skeptical of institutions. They question politicians. They question corporations. They question mainstream media. They verify information independently. They compare sources. They search for original documents rather than rely solely on summaries. Michael Jackson may simply be one of the most visible examples of this broader trend. And for years, many fans have argued that if people took the time to investigate the facts themselves, which we know they don't, they would reach a very different conclusion than the one presented by sensational headlines. So more and more people seem willing to do exactly that. Now, what happens now after all of this that we're talking about? So now they're saying that the viewing figures of Michael Jackson, the verdict, have yet to be released. Well, they were, because we just talked about it. So it remains unclear how successful Netflix series ultimately was. It's probably the same thing like it was like with Scream 7. A lot of y'all ran around talking about, we not going to support, we going to boycott, blah, 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 blah. And then what happened? Scream 7 was the most profitable movie out of all 7 films. $200 million, the biggest success of all time. So when people talk about, we boycott, we this, we that, a lot of y'all be saying that, but y'all truly be watching the shit. And I feel like, the boycott thing for me is like, it's like being caught between a rock and a hard place. Like, I'm not going to get rid of Netflix over some damn Michael Jackson. My protest is me not watching it. There's other things on Netflix that I will watch and I will support. And my thing is, we all have the ability to do that. If a network or a streaming service is not going to put something up there that you don't like, you don't have to watch it. It's the same thing like with that whole stupid Kevin Hart roast. I didn't like the whole Kevin Hart roast situation. I didn't watch it. I seen the clips online, which is when we did a segment on it, we talked about it. But I'm not going to go and be like, fuck Netflix, boycott Netflix because they did a roast and they allow these racists to come up here and say whatever. One of the things I will say about Netflix is that they're neutral in the people who they give platforms to. They're not one-sided how like the Ellisons are currently doing Paramount Plus, where they're just trying to really turn the that channel into the MAGA light network. They're not trying to do that over there at Netflix. Netflix is an equal opportunity offender. They will give people who are liberal, who lean liberal politically, people who are probably progressive in their beliefs, and people who are also conservative in their beliefs. So they target everybody. So I'm not going to get mad at Netflix over that. Ted Sarandos is smart in that part with and his, the co-owner, which quiet as it's kept. I think the way this thing is going with Paramount and this whole blockation with New York and LA are putting against Paramount right now, trying to get Warner Brothers Discovery. Yeah, this story came out that New York and LA conglomerates are trying to put the kibosh on this. And there is a thing in a deal that they have to sell it by October, November or something of this year. If the deal doesn't go through, and they're talking about they may delay it to 2027. If this deal don't go through, Netflix gets $2 billion and then probably use the $2 billion to buy Netflix again. Oh, not Netflix, Warner Brothers Discovery. So Netflix might end up getting it after all. Clever on y'all part, because y'all understand business. Them Ellisons, they came in with greed. And if you can't even seal the deal with the business people over there to buy it, you have to use foreign coin in order to get it. It's going to be a problem. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to watch it. I don't care about the whole, supporting this or whatever. And people have a right to boycott what they want to boycott. But for me, it's like, I do believe in you need to question everything that's in front of you. But I'm not going to get rid of a whole streaming service because they're creating a docu-series, a 3-part docu-series on one of your favorite pop stars who've been dead for almost 2 decades. Just don't watch it. Don't support it. Watch other stuff. So I do agree that I don't like there's this media slander where the people deliberately go out of their way to try to discredit Michael and ruin his legacy and all this other stuff with all these accusations, even if he was found not guilty, and people still want to keep this stuff alive. Because at the end of the day, the man is dead. He ain't in the union no more. There's nothing you can do about that. He gone. So he can't defend himself. So we all need to move on from this. But I get it. Netflix need to do what they got to do to capitalize on this situation. So capitalize on it, you must, but and I hope it was worth it. But I won't be watching. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Have you watched the docuseries? What are your overall thoughts? Do you agree with any of the stuff I said? Said so much, I don't remember what the fuck I just said 2 seconds ago. But nevertheless, I'll just have to watch it back when I do the edit. But anyway, let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Also, I love it when you talk about Whitney. She's one of my fave divas, and I really hear you mention her in your show. I'll bring up Whitney when she need to be brought up. But yeah, play for Whitney. You know, I was a big fan. Look, I particularly liked Whitney when she went more dance. The It's Not Right, It's Okay, that whole My Love Is Your Love album, and then the double album with the remix and all that stuff. Oh, that album had me in a chokehold. But I wasn't really into Whitney like that until like the Bodyguard soundtrack. And so that's what got me more into her. But yeah, I grew up listening, you know, I'm your baby tonight and all that stuff. Ew. Madonna took praise from acting in school plays, though that praise meant she can act. Well, here's the thing. It doesn't require much acting when you're acting in school plays. It all matters if you're going to Juilliard and all that other stuff. When you start hitting the big leagues in that part, then it's like, okay, you legit. But anybody could, look, I did school plays growing up. Baron Trump, ew. He got an energy drink? I would not drink none of that shit. That should have probably given me a damn heart attack. Or remember that girl that drank an energy drink and they said she passed away because it enlarged her heart or whatever? It's probably going to give you that. Taylor gave up acting because she wasn't good at it. Beyonce was not good at it. Madonna tried it. Miley and Selena paid it. Oh, so you're going to do the bending. I wish pop stars would find a different side venture besides acting. Some of them actually is good. I did hear that there is a because I just heard Raul Alejandro is in a new movie. Also, you know, we got the John Wick spinoff, Kane, coming out. Rina Sawayama, she's been acting, but look, she got to do something. The music career ain't happening. The Cassios are now accusing him of abuse. The sister of the family is the first female to accuse a child. Yeah, I've been hearing that foolishness. Being interested in childlike things does not mean you are a pedo. Connecting with your inner child is healthy. Maybe he was also autistic. That's a good question. It kind of makes you wonder. Maybe he was, because he did say that. And there's a scene in the movie where his mother's like, well, why don't you hang out with kids your own age? And he was like, I can't hang out with kids my own age. Quiet as it's kept, I didn't even hang out with kids my own age. I kind of related more with adults. I don't know if that makes me autistic. But I think when you look at Michael was someone who was very bright. He was very gifted and talented. And I think that he just was socially awkward. I know people equated that with being painfully shy, but I guess, well, you know, back then it didn't have a name or whatever. Now I guess you look at it and you would consider that being, they would call it, I guess, autistic. So, but the man ain't here. You can't really test his brain to know if he had those situations. So I guess at this point, we'll never know. He's back at #1 on Spotify internationally, like they tried stopping, but that biopic introduced him to a whole new audience. Yes, it did. And his estate knew what they were. His estate knew what they were doing, and it worked. They used that movie for that reason, to get the music back on the map, because they benefit financially from it. The estate benefits from it financially. The family benefits from it. But I don't want to be called a conspiracy theorist. Even Jennifer Welch said, we don't do conspiracy theories. It's a mega thing. A distraction. They have no proof this man did that shit. Focus on the Epstein perpetrator. Absolutely, because if y'all want to quit any of those people, we don't want to hear shit about Michael Jackson. Focus on the Epstein perpetrators and their victims, many of whom are still alive. So I'm trying to squeeze money off that man's name. Downvote the who? Downvote the documentary to the point it gets buried into the algorithms. Well, yeah, it's cute or whatever right now that they got 17 million views. That's still not a lot compared to the amount of people that actually subscribe to Netflix. But let's see how it pans out for the next couple of weeks, if people will care. And that's the thing with Netflix. People see everything. They're all front-loaded with their stuff because they release all the episodes at once. So a lot of their stuff is very front-loaded, which means that people watch everything within the first weekend or couple of days, and then we done moved on. I like to spread things out. So like even now, I haven't even finished the final season of The Boys. It ended a couple of weeks ago. I got 4 more. I only watched half the season. I only got 4 episodes left, even though I already know what happened to Homelander. But, well, I know he died. I ain't know what he died from. But it was like 4 episodes I got left. So I take my time with a lot of shows. So I don't like when y'all release everything at once. I like to take my time. Well, I'll give it a couple of weeks. If it's weekly, like some people do, it keeps it in the conversation, keeps it in the zeitgeist. And then I'll watch maybe a couple episodes and I'm like, I'll give it a couple more weeks and then I'll catch up. And in that way. But yeah, I think it'll die off within another week or 2. But then again, because Michael, the movie came out today, maybe it'll continue to stay in a thing for now. I think European Union have to force the sale of CNN, as well, because Paramount has CBS News. They don't need CNN. They want CNN. And what they'll do is they'll try to turn CNN into what they're doing to 60 Minutes, where Barry White's forehead fucking ass is up in there destroying what's left of it. But I really feel my heart of hearts with all these people that's going to come in and try to put the kibosh on it. And there was a whole story around that today, that with Paramount accusing Netflix of sabotage and all that other stuff, and they called it ridiculous, that I don't think the merger is going to happen. I'm keeping my fingers crossed it doesn't happen. I know some people don't want Netflix to get it either, but I wouldn't mind Netflix getting it, because Netflix is a streaming platform that doesn't have any connection to a studio. So them coming in and just being like, I'm going to let the studio do its thing. At least we have something that we can connect to and make profit off of. It's better than what Paramount is doing, trying to push a certain a political agenda. As an energy drink connoisseur, I will never drink something that comes out of a... Exactly. I can lay off I do drink energy drinks too, but and I like them. I remember I knew this boy named Kenny. He was cute too, but he had a girl, so I was like, I'm gonna leave them little Spanish boys alone. That's a heterosexual relation, because it's like, I ain't turning these straight boys out. But anyway, when we used to work together, he would drink a monster all the damn time. And I used to get on him like, you need to stop drinking those. You're gonna have a heart attack. But then he had to get on. He was like, he tried to read me, because he caught me. He seen me at one time drinking a damn Red Bull. So I was like, well, I guess I can't talk. But I said, I'm gonna be drinking it the way you be drinking them. Ariana excelled in acting. Cher threw it out of the park. Billy won a PCA for acting. Janet was good in Poetic Justice. Why does that sound like a read? Like you saying that's the only movie she was good in. It's definitely not everyone's bag, no matter how easy it may seem for a pop star. My level of intelligence made me more of a person, better with adults. I tried with kids my age, but fart jokes, toilet humor, pull my finger, juvenile shit hurt my brain. Well, I kind of like those type of jokes too, but there was a lot of that when I was growing up too. Like I resonated more with adults. I would play with kids my age, but at times I just didn't want to be around a lot of kids my age, because I always felt like, because I was way too intelligent. Like I told you, I went to a school for gifted and talented kids, in Brooklyn, PS 327. And I used to, I don't know, even at my age, I don't know, it just made me sound bougie, whatever, but I looked at kids that just weren't on my level of intelligence beneath me. So it's like, if you can't understand what I'm saying at this age, then I can't fuck with you. So that's kind of like where I was with that. I definitely felt like I have to dumb down my articulation when around the frat boy types, so they don't get confused. Yeah, I've had to play that whole balance of, I don't want to talk to a point where, because I can come across very condescending and like I'm insulted, like when people insult my intelligence, and then they'll feel, I was like, oh, I didn't mean it that way. So I have to always try to find ways to play around with the English language, so that way I'm like, I'm meeting you where you at. I ain't gonna dumb myself down, but I'm gonna meet you where you at, so you understand what I'm saying. So don't get confused. So it's like it's like playing, it's like almost like a tennis match in your head. Party animal type may have bird brain, but at least their face makes up for it. You said Gaga can act too. I just think she definitely needs better projects. She kind of came from acting before she got, because remember, she was on The Sopranos before her career broke in music. So she did little acting projects here and there. I like being around them and I don't mind their company, but I always prefer discussing an album or book than sorority girls and their body count. But that's all boys thing that they want to just talk about is body counts and fucking and things. Madonna co-stars have said that had she allowed multiple takes, it probably would have been good. Nobody can picture Susan, but Madonna saying, well, you know what? A lot of characters are tailor-made for certain people, and if you kind of play to their strengths, then that works. But you have to also realize that part of acting is about giving up control, and you have to give into portraying the character that's on the page. People like a Madonna and Beyonce and them are not willing to do that. They can't relax and give up control and dive into playing that character. Hence why they always play characters similar to their personality or something where they're playing a musician or something like that, because it's something that's easy for them to play with. The only problem is whenever Beyonce talks, she sounds like she's slow. So it's you're caught between a rock and a hard place. That's why she don't like talking no damn more. Because I was out here making it seem like that she ain't graduate past the 5th grade. The roles Madonna was hired for, you could see that the role was made. But exactly. So it's like she can't play something that's completely outside of her wheelhouse. I mean, I wouldn't say Ava Perón, but that was a musical. Wasn't that the only movie she did though? She was like, I'm done with acting. Fuck you. Because I think it was like they put her through hell making that damn movie. Who directed that? Lars von Trier? Yeah, she went through hell. I remember making that movie. But anyway, let's get back into more hot topics at this point, because we was on here for a minute with all this. Okay, so now where we going? All right, so let's talk about Nicole Scherzinger. So there was a story that I saw on Radar Online that was talking about, the whole thing about her and the Pussycat dolls and the fact that I guess she didn't read the room and realize that outside of that little bubble she was in with Sunset Boulevard, where she won the Tony and having all the success, she thought, oh, well, they loving me over here in the Broadway world. So maybe this will open up the door. Let's bring back the Pussycat dolls. Only problem is you ain't bring back all the girls, just you and the backup dancers, you and the Pips. So it was just her 2 backup dancers, and people like, the fuck is that shit? Now, people overseas, they eating it up because apparently the arena tour is going to be doing gangbusters and everything over there. We already saw regarding, what was it? We Hope Pride. She performed over there with the 2 backup dancers who was, in the mic, and people was eating it up. They look good. They were in sync. They seem to be getting in the pocket finally. I figured a couple of shows would do the trick. But apparently they said that what had happened with the whole collapse of the tour was due to Miss Ma'am's ego. So humiliated Nicole Scherzinger was blindsided by the Pussycat Dolls North American reunion tour collapsing in spectacular fashion, with the Naughty's girl group canceling most of their concert dates due to poor ticket sales. This is according to Radar Online and other conglomerates. Now insiders say Scherzinger's diva behavior behind the scenes made the situation worse. Insiders claim tensions grew as the troubled tour unraveled. Nicole saying, quote, Nicole truly believed she had become this untouchable superstar after winning a Tony Award. This is according to the Insider, referring to the 47-year-old Songbird's 2025 Best Actress triumph in the Broadway musical Sunset Boulevard. Now, sources also said Scherzinger, who was scheduled to hit the road with the group mates Ashley Roberts and Kimberly Wyatt, pushed for top billing, more money, and even larger spotlight on herself. Several insiders claim staff privately joked the reunion had become the Nicole show. We're all stars now in the Nicole show. She expected a career rebirth. Instead, this became a very public reality check. Well, here's the thing. No shade to y'all, but like I said, y'all are not Beyonce and the girls. So you cannot warrant for this whole situation. Also, you got to realize Broadway world and the pop star world, 2 different worlds. The Broadway world, yeah, you got a lot of people, but it's not like those pop fans that grew up listening to Don't Ya and all the other songs was coming to Broadway. If y'all was, let me know in the comments. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the Pussycat Doll fans did come see Nicole Scherzinger on Sunset Boulevard, and she was getting rave reviews for playing Norma Desmond. She was getting up there and getting all the rave reviews for the character she played in there, and people was living for the show and thought she did a phenomenal job, and she was getting a lot of accolades, and she was critically acclaimed, and the people who saw the show said she was brilliant. So I do believe that. But you also have to realize that the Broadway world and the pop world are two different worlds, and they're two different hats, and it accumulates two different audiences. So you also have to realize that when you ain't put out music in so long and you're trying to come with a different version of the group, y'all are not, like I said, you're not Beyonce and them, where Beyonce could change up Destiny's Child, and yeah, there was a little trepidation, but them girls came in with Survivor and them other songs, and they proved themselves, and that made people of my generation, who we were eating up Destiny's Child and stuff at the time, we ate up what Beyonce was serving, and we went along with the situation. We was like, okay. So we got Kelly Michelle still. We don't know them other girls. There's no shade, I'm just saying. But we could take Tanitra. Michelle Williams, that's her real name. Tanitra, we like Tanitra. So we could take the three in here, because before it was four, then they took out the other two and brought in two more. Then one girl left, and now we got three. And so we still living for Destiny's Child because we still got the core girls. We got Kelly and Beyonce. And we got a little filler. A filler, no shade to Tanitra, I'm just saying. But we got the filler girl who can come and do a little yang. She ain't going to fill up the situation like Beyonce and Kelly every now and again. We'll let her do a little yang now and again. And now, Nicole got the two girls doing it, yeah. While she doing it, yeah, she doing a full-on yang, and the girls are doing a yang. So that's what they giving. But my thing is this: you gonna have to work your ass off like them Danity Kane girls. I do think if they do plan on revisiting this idea of a U.S. show, Miss Ma'am, you need to take you a big piece. I'll even give you the whole motherfucking pie to eat. Humble pie. You need to eat the whole damn thing. Even though I know you don't want to put none of that shit in your body. But girl, let's get real. Eat a big piece of that damn humble pie. Start from the bottom. Work your way up. Do smaller venues like Danity Kane did. Perform the hit songs that y'all got. Maybe even throw out there an EP. Where y'all can do like a 5-track EP, new songs, dig up old demos that you did with PCD. And you're going to start from the bottom and really get in the good graces of the fans and try to see if they're going to come out here and support you. Also, maybe try to resonate and get the younger generation that might be interested in y'all. Do festivals. Do more. I mean, you're already going to do Pride events, and you just did one. And the gays will support y'all because y'all are pretty girls, you're half naked, and the gays like shallow shit like that. Certain demographic of homosexuals, the one that they pander to for the prize and all other stuff. So they like all that superficial shit. So you'll get the gays down boots regardless. But if you want to come in, you want to get in the good graces of the fandom and stuff again, and make them forget about Melody and Carmit and the rest of them, and you trying to give us a new version of Pussycat Dolls, you're going to have to work a little hard for people's coins, for people's support, and them streams. Because you be just thinking like you the face, which technically you kind of are, because they built the Pussycat Dolls around Nicole Scherzinger from the beginning. I just wish that the way that they put Pussycat Dolls together, they were just honest about the whole business aspect of what it is about these girls. Because y'all love bringing up these other people that was singing in the background, but to be honest, Robin and them really wanted to build this girl group around one singular singer. And that was Nicole, because that's the way Pussycat Dolls was in the beginning. When we used to see them down, and the old footage, because I wasn't in LA at the time, but when you would see them down at the Viper Room, and they was up in there performing, they would have like the girls dancing in the background doing burlesque moves, and you would have Christina or Fergie or Paris Hilton or the other girls. Avril Lavigne, I even think, did it once, or Gwen Stefani and them come in as guest singers singing other songs, like cover songs, while the girls was dancing behind them. That's where the initial Pussycat Dolls thing eventually became a thing. So if they would have just been honest about that from the beginning, I think this would have been an easier pill for people to swallow. But y'all didn't want to be honest about it. Y'all want to play it up like y'all was like Girls Aloud or these other girl groups, Destiny's Child, Little Mix, and And all these other little girl groups that y'all were trying to act like y'all was in the same category as them, and y'all weren't. Y'all were built under different circumstances. So hopefully, if this story turns out to be true, and it's rated online, so let's take it with a grain of salt and let's just entertain it for entertainment purposes. Nicole, take a big ass slice of that humble pie, shove it down the back of your throat, fuck my throat, the throat. Now how Tyler Perry, Madea like to say it. And start from the bottom. You can go overseas and look. Kylie Minogue did it for years. She went overseas, sold out every stadium, did her big ones over there. When she came to America, she did smaller venues because she knew, based off of what people told her, that she wasn't the bigger pop star. She was not the Madonna. She wasn't on that Madonna level. But she had a strong fan base in America, a big following, but not to the point of like she could sell out arenas. Now with 40 years in the game, next year, she was finally able to do an arena tour that you could watch on Netflix now. So you got to build up to those points. You can't just be out here, a lot of you egotistical ass bitches, and not just her, I'm just talking in general. A lot of y'all be thinking y'all could just, one album out, or you've been disappeared for like a decade or two. I could do an arena. Put me in an arena. And then you wonder why you suffer from a case of blue dot fever. So sometimes people need to learn the hard way when they think that their career's popping like they Beyonce. And it's like, no, sis, your career ain't on that level yet. You ain't worked around long enough to even have that type of career. So say all this to say, and I ain't want to be a burden of bad news, but sometimes, I got to give it to you raw and uncut. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding what they're talking about that apparently, allegedly, Nicole was getting catty and the fact that she was blindsided by the collapse of the girl group's tour. But I'm like, girl, the writing was on the wall, as I referenced Destiny's Child album title. The writing was on the wall from the beginning, where it's just like, yeah, if you're going to come out, you can't expect that y'all are going to be all of a sudden have this big arena tour and people's going to sell them tickets. Felt it in the energy of like, and I told y'all before, I have a coworker that I work with who's trans and said the first show she went to, Pussycat was an open act. I think it was the Back to Basics tour with Christina Aguilera, and they was an open act, and I think Danny Kane was also on that bill. And it's like, y'all never really headlined a show before. Y'all have always been the open act, or y'all have done, festivals and, like a Coachella, something like that, doing a little festival circuit. Y'all ain't really did like proving yourself to sell out arenas. And if you haven't done that, you should have started small. I think people would have really felt like y'all meant business if you would have did like Roseland or some shit. That would have been more believable rather than you thinking, oh yeah, let's swing big, let's do arenas. And then you wonder why you had to cancel. Like Jennifer Lopez, who thought she could sell out arenas and she got a big piece of that reality too. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. Let me know what your thoughts are on this story in the comments down below. Lord, my allergies are starting to bother me now. Yeah, where did I go? It's like I went up too far. Hold on. Okay, you said one film that Madonna had to go really deep into the role, according to critics. Dangerous Game, her best role. She called it her worst film because the director forced her to go into. I mean, well, sis, that's the point. You have to get into the character. You're playing a character, and she hated it. Today was supposed to be my show for. Oh, well, damn! And I would have loved to have found out how the show was. There's video where Kimberly was saying, thank you guys, and Nicole interrupted her. Kim tried to speak again. There's a look of death like, girl, nobody came here for you. So this is where I'll be like, okay, bitch, now you're going to be up there by yourself because you're not going to treat me like shit. And then we're going to try to sit up here pretending we sisters or whatever. So this is the attitude that she given to one of her careers never taken off. The comments after that footage, she hasn't learned shit. She still wants to be Diana Ross and the Supremes. Well, if she wants to be on Diana's level, she got to fuck the right men in order to have that type of career, to get the hits and everything. She ain't did that yet. So you'll never be Diana in that aspect. Can't think of a single person born between 1998 In 2010, that listens to Ava Max and BB Rexa voluntarily. The shade. And you said have opening acts that have younger fan bases like Ava Max, BB Rexa. Well, look, they independent now, so they're going to have to work their ass off from the bottom and start all over. And I like Maya. I told her I know her manager. But I just saw an interview she did with Fat Joe and Jadakiss. That interview irritated me because Fat Joe don't know how to shut the fuck up in an interview. He loves making every I'm like, do you not shut up? Damn. Like, they ask her a question and then he talking. I'm like, you know, what people need to understand about interviews, the major thing that you need to learn to do in an interview is listen. Why do you always got to have a story on top of something or you want to talk? I was like, nobody asked you, Patrice. Shut the fuck up. Let her talk. Yeah, it should have started in Europe. I thought it was supposed to start in Europe first, but apparently not. Yeah, because if your fan base is bigger over there, and I did see Georgina, one of the vocal teachers or whatever that does like reaction videos, she watched the Pussycat Dolls performance at the AMAs and she was eating it up. So the Brits and everything, they love the girl groups. They're all about singing and vocals and things. You should have started in Europe because Europe seems to be like the ones who are really more excited for a Pussycat Dolls tour than America. You know how wishy-washy American audiences are? Here today, gone today. If you're not in their eye line for a long period of time, we move on to the next thing. He said, but she does dance music, Gen Z music. Is it my tea? Most of their stuff ain't on Billboard or do arenas, or their songs is short as fuck. That's why at least I like Madonna's giving us quality stuff, especially with this new album. Robin had Girlicious, that went nowhere, though they were more marketed to the Canadians. I think I remember Girlicious. She loved that name, Girl. The girl got to be in something. Pussycat, well, she put dolls in there. You got Girlicious, Girl. But Simone Battle's death hurt them. Actually, I do know one queen that listens to Ava Max, that one that blocked me from his TikTok live for calling her a kite. Who did that? They're like, how dare you call her a Kaya? Well, look, I just saw she did a recent article with Out. I think she also performed at that WeHo Pride. Because unless she got a co-following amongst the gays and they listen to her music and work out to it, maybe her independent career will thrive. We'll just have to see. All right, y'all. So now let's move on from the Pussycat Dolls. And let's talk about Ariana Grande Frappuccino. So apparently no more coffee drinks for her because she done broke up after breaking up somebody's happy home, but he contributed too. She and Ethan Slater are no longer together. That tea came out yesterday. I guess they need to make it official because Ari is currently on tour. So they need to nip that in the bud before people start asking. But I told y'all, I've seen Ethan Slater quite a few times at the Garden, I think during Knicks games or whatever. And he was always there solo. So I kind of sensed that he and Ari were no longer in the, a united situation. But I also think in part in their relationship, I think it was because she was married at the time to that guy, I forgot his name. What was his name? Dante, something with a D. Anyway, she was married at the time. She was working on this film. She was away from home for like a year. She was probably dealing with a lot of stuff. And when you are on a set, when you're living far away from home and you're in proximity of a certain group of people, feelings, emotions, things develop. I'm not excusing the behavior, but I'm just saying how it is when you're working 14 and 16-hour days on a set, when you are far away from home and you're in proximity of certain people. Energies collide and things happen and fornicators fornicate. So I think that's probably what happens. But according to the reports, they said that they were dropping hints months before the split made headlines on Monday, which was yesterday. Now, while attending multiple Wicked for Good premieres late last year, the co-stars kept their distance from one another. Grande, who's 32, and Slater, who's 34, did not pose together at red carpets in New York City, Sao Paulo, that's Brazil, Paris, London, and Singapore, despite doing so for Wicked Part 1 in 2024. When the pair did link up for shots with their castmates, they stood on opposite sides of the group. Yeah, I do have that picture too. Hold on, because I was like, I need to bring that as evidence as well. So y'all can see how the distance, and I'm like, that is kind of weird, because if y'all was in a relationship together, but they got him standing behind a chick in a wheelchair. I'm like, damn, is that bad between y'all? While doing press for the musical, both Grande and the Broadway star avoided answering questions about their relationship, only adding fuel to rampant online split speculation. Slater notably skirted Today Show host Craig Melvin. Oh, you know, he stayed getting up in people's business. That's why we like him, because he messy. Question on November 2025 about working with his girlfriend every day, instead praising the entire cast of the movie as incredible. He called Grande brilliant and Cynthia Erivo remarkable during the interview, adding, "I'm so proud of everyone I got to work with. We're like a family." Standard, typical answer that people give. We're like a family. Oh, please. However, eagle-eyed fans believe the pair was still going strong after spotting Slater and Grande's friend Elizabeth Gillies' Instagram carousel celebrating the Grammy winner's Saturday Night Live hosting gig the following month. Additionally, Slater shared photos from his very merry holidays with Grande in December of 2025. They have not been photographed together since. Well, it's nothing like the holidays to bring people together and also break people up as well. Now, Slater was absent from the opening show of Grande's Eternal Sunshine show, which kicked off over the weekend in California's Oakland area. And I do wonder if him being absent from that caused speculation, which had them go and be like, you know what? We're just going to have to, we can't keep it secret or not bring it up. We have to just let people know that we're not a couple anymore. Now, Monday, Page Six confirmed that the couple quietly split after 3 years together, saying Ariana and Ethan broke up several months ago, but they've remained friends, okay, that's what they always say, since then, and have nothing but respect and admiration for one another. This wasn't a decision they took lightly, but realized they were better off friends than in a committed relationship. Don't she have a song called We Can't Be Friends? Now, Ariana is feeling really happy and focused on the next chapter with her Eternal Sunshine tour, an upcoming release of her album Pedal, and also she has a movie coming out called Focker-in-Law, where she plays the, oh my God, what's his name? The actor that who's playing like the Focker's son. The actor that played, I think his name is Skylar Rosondo. He played Jimmy Olsen in Superman. He's playing Ariana, I think I don't know if they're married in the movie, but, you know, I guess they are because they're calling father-in-law. Apparently that's the new wife and there's some drama that ensues. She looks like that's going to be a pretty good movie though. So Grande and Slater, you know, met on the set of Wicked. At the time they were both married to different people. So it could have been that, you know what, like in situations, you think it might be like similar to Brad and Angelina, that y'all were both in unhappy relationships and y'all just came together on a movie set and you provided each other the comfort that you needed at the time that you needed it. And they kind of just joined in a situation. There was just an exchange of energies and stuff at the time. And then, you know, everybody goes to their honeymoon phase when they're in these relationships and then just realize, you know what? Even though there was so much drama and all this other stuff that went on, I'm not really feeling the spark that we kind of felt in the beginning of the situation. Now I'm kind of friend zoning you. Yeah, the sex, I mean, who knows? Maybe he got a little yum bouncy, and she was just like, this ain't it. Who knows what the situation is? But the worst part about all this is that because of what y'all indiscretions. Oh, his name was Dalton Gomez. That's what it was, because they have it in the thing. You had probably, I don't know if you had her walking side to side, but the worst part about this whole situation is that you literally moved on you left your high school sweetheart for a little fling, and now look at you all by yourself. Don't wanna leave all by yourself. Well, apparently you're all by yourself, niece. Now, they said the psychologist claimed she and her newborn were collateral damage in actress's romance with Slater. Because they were saying that Jay, who gave birth, well, the Lily J is the woman that he left, and she was his high school sweetheart. They said the Jay, who gave birth to the former couple's first child in early 2022, subsequently slammed Grande as someone who's not a girl's girl in an exclusive interview with Page Six. But here's the thing: it took two to tango, so we could blame her, we could blame him too. The psychologist claimed that she and her newborn were collateral damage. Oh, she's a psychologist in actress's romance with Slater. The following year, Grande defended the relationship in her song "Yes and." Well, she said, "Say that shit with your chest." That's what she said. She ain't defending. When she defended the relationship, she said, "Say that shit with your." And did she did say the shit with her chest? She said, "You not a girl's girl, bitch." Now she said, "Your business is yours and mine is mine." The Victorious alum sings in the track. "Why do you care so much whose dick I ride?" Because she had that dick before you had it, bitch. Why you think? How you gonna sit up here and just be like, your business is yours and mine is mine? Why do you care so much whose dick I ride? Because I was riding in side saddle before your little skinny raggedy ass came up in there and decided to ride it while you was out in fucking the UK where they was filming Wicked for a whole year. That's why I care. The fuck you mean? Donut liquor? This is me getting in the head of Lily J. Because I'm an equal opportunity person. Now, mid headlines about the split, Slater showed subtle support for his ex by liking Grande's carousel roundup of her tour. Well, good for you. I'm glad you're still out here trying to be in solidarity with all the mess, but y'all both messy. And now look at you. Y'all both alone. She's off doing her little tour where she's getting rave reviews for, and you're all by yourself. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding Ariana Grande and Ethan Slater have broken up? Surprise to no one, by the way. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Girls Aloud isn't Cheryl Cole. Yes, she is. Cheryl Cole. We had Nadine Coyle. Who else was in that group? There was a bunch of girls. But yeah, Cheryl Cole was like the biggest one to come out of that because I did listen to Cheryl Cole as a solo act. You might know him. He's LOL cow that goes viral. Jasmine is Queen or something like that. His name is Jasmine. I don't know. That doesn't ring a bell. I saw so much discussion around Ariana's body on the Clock app and how she could possibly complete 51 shows looking like that. My ideology is that a person's eating disorder is absolutely like if she don't want to sit and eat and put food in her body, knowing how tours affect your body. And you hear. There was like even something where I was talking about the Joe and Jada podcast where they just had mine on there. They were just talking about that and how, the physical toll it takes on your body. And even Madonna talks about like how tours take its physical toll on your body and people wondering if she's going to go and do this tour because of, she's 67 years old and the physicality that it takes to do a tour. But my thing is this. She needs to take a page, if this is the case, take a page out of Taylor Swift's handbook. Taylor Swift did a couple of shows, took breaks, came back, did more shows, took a break. That's what you need to do. If it's going to help in a situation, if anything that's going to prevent you from performing in Vegas. Yes, you had Cheryl, Nadine, Sarah, and Nicole and Kimberly. That was the girls. Allowed. All I want is something new, something I can hold on to. I don't want to talk, I just want to dance. Okay, let me stop. Y'all know that song. So why should I add my input and opinion when I don't even know the woman? Yes, I'm concerned. It's concerning, but nothing is gained by me commenting on her bones sticking out. I wish her best, and that's all I can do. Yes, you can. Not a rejected Weasley. Ronald's bastard cousin, and it's someone who used to be anorexica, and that's gonna be my drag name, anorexic. and was in the double digits since 3 years ago. It's best to keep my head clear for one of my favorite artists struggling with. And you know, there's a lot of people, unfortunately, in this industry that goes through that. I recently learned that Karen Carpenter struggled with. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. Karen Carpenter, that she definitely was somebody who was bulimic, I believe. That's a legendary story. The way she attacked people from eating donuts and stuff like that, I get the feeling she hates food rather have a diet or liquid. So, look, can you imagine living on a liquid diet? We've only just begun to live. Okay, isn't that Karen Carpenter? Anyway, so, okay, now all jokes aside, we are down to our final 4 topics. So before we get to the final 4 topics of the evening, if you could please do me a solid and hit that like button. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And also be sure to smash the notification bell so that we can know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. Also, if you can, please hype this channel and all this stuff, get it out there in the algorithm and all that good stuff. And I want to thank everybody who continues to tune into this messy live stream and the people that come in for the playback and all that good stuff and checks out all the messy hot topics we do over here on this crazy show. Please and thank you. Now, without further ado, let's get into some sad but justified, in a way of justice being served, homosexual news. And let's talk about O'Shea Sibley. So I don't know if y'all remember O'Shea Sibley, but he was this young man who I believe in 2023, he was 28 years old. He was out there voguing out by a Brooklyn gas station. And he wound up getting in a confrontation with a group of young people who were shouting racial and anti-gay slurs at the dancer and his friends as they were voguing to a Beyonce song. So this young man by the name of Dmitry Popov, it sounded like he Russian. He was 17 at the time. Now he's 20. And he recently testified at the trial that he was just defending himself when he took a blade and put it up in Sibley back in 2023. So he's saying that he was doing it in self-defense, but the reality was, if the gays was out there, and this is what they normally do, because trust and believe, I was not a boardroom child, but I used to hang out with a lot of the butch and the femme queens out in Brooklyn and also in the Village, which a friend of mine said the other day, where's all the gays in the Village? He don't be seeing them no more. I said, well, they probably just ran out due to gentrification. So he said the girls wasn't out there in the Village no more, because I remember back in the days when the Village was the Village, we used to go down there and the kids be pumping down the street, doing the Naomi Campbell walk, walk across the room like Naomi Campbell, and then y'all be cat, and doing all other stuff, and they be doing it down the street, minding their business. And of course, you get straight people that get mad because the gays is out here, the black queens is out here just living their life and minding their damn business. And then now you feeling away because you feel like your manhood is being threatened, and so you was defending yourself. So he went and stabbed Sibley to death, and now prosecutors call bullshit on Dimitri's testimony because he said he was defending himself. But prosecutors said that Popov acted out of hate, taunting and jeering at Sibley, then unaliving him when he reacted to the provocations. Because I always think that you could just call people the F word and the N word and all this other stuff, and we just supposed to sit there and take it. But when it comes to the gays, we got mouth on us. We also got hands. Because a lot of times when you a femme queen or a butch queen and you be channeling your femme side in that situation, people will try to test you. And then when you clap back, then you want to sit up out here, I feel like my manhood is being questioned. I'm being pushed up against the wall. So now I got to defend myself. So now I got to take your life because you have the unmitigated gall to come back at me. But bitch, you started it. And people should have a right to defend themselves without having to lose their damn life. So the jury, which began deliberation a week ago, also convicted Popov on, I forgot, I skipped the part. So the verdict on the first degree manslaughter charge capped a 3-week trial in New York State Supreme Court in Brooklyn. The jury, which began deliberation a week ago, also convicted Popov on second-degree menacing, second-degree aggravated harassment, and fourth-degree criminal possession of a weapon, but acquitted him of a more serious charge of red rum as a hate crime, which carried the potential of a life sentence. Now, Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez said in a release that it was his hope that as the LGBTQ plus community celebrates the beginning of Pride Month, this verdict will bring O'Shea's family, his friends, and the larger community some measures of solace. Hate has no place in Brooklyn. He also said Sibley's dream was being a dancer and choreographer, and his life was cut short when he was unalived by this defendant who couldn't stand the sight of O'Shea and his friends just being themselves and living their lives openly as Black gay men. So it could have been the fact you hate you're a white dude, because based off the name you sound Russian. And you already know that whole ideology behind Russians and the hatred of homosexuality, especially if you coming from places where Putin cracks down on homosexuality. So when you have that whole ideology in your head, the fact that you don't like Black people and you don't like gay people, and you forgetting that if you're not back in your home country, in New York City, it's a lot different. We are a melting pot of all different cultures, sexual orientations, and everything else in between. We're not we're not like all these other areas where it's just like, if you're gay or if you're Black or whatever, you could be discriminated against. But we do deal with discrimination. But at the end of the day, people come to New York because you can be your true, authentic self. You would hope without judgment, but you get people like this. So now they also said defense attorney Mark Pollard said he will appeal the verdict. Good luck on that, which was probably bittersweet for both sides, saying we're happy he wasn't guilty of red rum, but disappointed he wasn't acquitted on the rest of the charges. The lawmaker said the client faces a minimum of 8 years in prison on the manslaughter charge and a maximum of 25 years. Now, Popov is scheduled to be sentenced on June 30th. What's funny is that's happening at the end of the month. So in the Pride Month. Now, Sibley and his friends had, for those of you not familiar, stopped at a gas station after a beach outing on July 29, 2023, when they were pumping gas. One of them began dancing, drawing the attention of a nearby group of young men and teenagers. Some of the people in that group began taunting and jeering at the dancing men, some of whom were shirtless and wearing bathing suits. Security camera video played at the trial recorded the encounter. The two groups argued for about 2 minutes, then started to go their separate ways. Sibley's group went back to their car. Most of the other men went back inside the gas station, except for Popov. Now, witnesses testified at trial that Popov shouted insults as he recorded with his phone, which a lot of y'all are fucking dumb, because this is what this generation does. Y'all feel like y'all need to film everything for clout, and look at you. It was used against you in the court of law. Now, he denied using any bigoted language, but if they say that's what they heard, then that's what they heard. Sibley then confronted Popov again, lunging around a man who tried to step between the pair. Popov testified that Sibley chased him and punched him in the head. The security camera video didn't show the fatal blow, but Popov testified that he stabbed Sibley with a 5.5-inch blade as he tried to protect himself. He said, I was scared that I was going to get hurt. Well, what'd you expect? I'm not saying I agree with what was going on, but when you run around saying stuff to people where Black gay men have to deal with taunting and discrimination their whole life, how would you expect that you were just going to say what you was going to say to somebody and they weren't going to want to whoop your ass? So it's okay for you to, and I'm not justifying the behavior, but I'm just saying that I understand the situation of what happened, and you never know who you rolling up on when y'all start coming out with that discrimination and saying certain things to people. You don't know what people are dealing with in their life when y'all be running around here thinking y'all can just call people all kinds of rhymes with maggots and the N-word and all the other stuff when you're not Black and you're a homophobe. So when you start using that stuff, you don't never know what somebody's going through at that time. So that's all I'm saying on that. And when people are constantly picked on and discriminated against and they're dealing with all their own little traumas, they're not thinking clearly. So Sibley, they said, performed with the Philadelphia-based dance company Philadanco and took classes with the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater's Alvin Extension program in New York. He also used dance to celebrate his LGBTQ plus identity in works such as Soft, A Love Letter to Black Queer Men, choreographed by Kamar Jewell. Now, Sibley's funeral in his hometown of Philly attracted about 200 people. Politicians and celebrities, including Beyonce and Spike Lee, paid tribute in social media posts. Now, Popov was born in, okay, like I said, he was Russian. They said Popov was born in the U.S. to a family of Russian origin and was a high school senior at the time of his arrest. So shout out to us, AP News for this story. And you know what? I'm glad that O'Shea finally got some justice. And we'll revisit this story at the end of the month when Mr. Popov, because he did pop off, and that's why his ass is locked up. It's funny how your last name is fitting for where you're currently at. And we will revisit this story when, excuse me, when we get close to his sentencing date, which is in a couple of weeks, because today is the 9th of June. He's being sentenced on the 30th. So we'll revisit the story once we get to the end of the month. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? It was like, yeah, remember we was talking about O'Shea Sibley. Remember I talked about it on the show. Now I had to give y'all the update because I ain't hear nobody else talking about it. So, you know, we talk homosexual news over here on this show. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Tuvalu announced a new song with Stromae and All in French song, a sex song in French for my cultured and full of taste and kink, happy pride, sluts, and skanks. I'd rather stand gay famous artists these days. Madonna, Kylie, Ava Max, and BB Rexa just make music for the gays. That's why Ariana, I call her gay safe, but gay famous like her brother. Well, first of all, I think that Frankie is more gay famous than she is. Yeah, she got her little stands or whatever, but she ain't no gay icon, because I've heard people say that. I'm like, no. Not yet. But I mean, I like the gay famous pop artists, but I like all types of music. So I honestly see Sabrina Carpenter going gay famous, knowing out of the music listening acts, they're the most loyal of all the American music communities. Well, I've yet to kind of not booty music. But you saying booty music like the Toot Your Booty too? Which, did y'all notice that booty tooch that Madonna does during the sequence of the song that she has with Fade? Living for that booty tooch move that she was doing in the short film. Are you saying booty music or his music is just straight up ass? Is that what you're saying? But I think you're saying his ass. And no shade, but I kind of agree. And that's my issue. This is God. I'm sorry, but yeah, in the words of this fucking camera is getting on my good damn nerve. In the words of Joan Rivers, can we talk? I am sick and tired of the gays, gay acts, music acts. Why is y'all music so bad? Like, is it too much to ask for my gay musicians to make music in the same quality of a Madonna or a Kylie, maybe a Tove Lo, a Robin, a Slater? Like, why is it that it was after the girls be doing the gay music better than the gays do the gay music? So I need y'all to really get into y'all pop sensibility. It just be that funky, stank, cliched, like it just so obviously reeks of gay music. I need like quality pop music. Is it too much to ask? Shit, I mean, like, do I have to take voice lessons and just be like, you know what, let me look to these people as the inspiration and put it out myself so that way I can get the music that I've been wanting? Because I don't be getting it from the gay artists. I need y'all to really give me that quality music. So I will agree with you on that. That it is bad music. Anyway, speaking of gays, let's get back into some more gay hot topics. And let's talk about Andrew Cohen. So Andy Cohen recently just did a little something where he talked about, he was asked, you know, all the years he's been doing like the Housewives, how come he hasn't had any trans women as a part of the cast? So you finally answered that question. So let's get into the story. So he says he has one condition in regards of casting a trans Real Housewife, which I think is pretty much the same rule he has for all the other women that he has on the show. Although I was like, I don't know if he's followed his own rule. But he said, now, since 2006, the Real Housewives franchise has been following the drama of affluent women and their families across the nation. However, in the 22 years since, damn, it's been on that fucking long, 22 years since his debut, the series has yet to cast a trans person in a lead role. Now, Bravo honcho Andy Cohen answered the fans' burning questions during his appearance at the Newport Beach TV Fest, where he was asked if they would ever cast a trans housewife. Now, Cohen, who's 58, said the ideal candidate would be someone who was already friends with the housewife and not a person who would be cast as a stunt. But can we talk, so quiet as it's kept, Andy, this is not like this the first time that you've ever cast someone who it was stunt casting, because you've done that in the past and it's never really worked. Because when we watch like the Housewives of New Jersey or whatever the case, a lot of these girls don't really be knowing each other, or the Housewives of Atlanta, they don't really be knowing each other like that. Y'all kind of put them in there and they got to pretend that they're friends of the cast members. So I don't know, you saying that now, but you've never really followed that as being the rule in this whole situation, or am I bugging? Now, they said that, I think if there was a trans housewife who was friends with other housewives, that would be the way. You wouldn't want it to be a stunt. You wouldn't want it to be like, oh, let's cast into this. If someone was friends with that person, and then that would be great. I have no idea what franchise that will be. Well, here's the thing. Didn't you say that there was a trans woman, Carmen Carrera? Wasn't she a friend of one of the girls on Real Housewives of Miami? What happened with that? And then I remember hearing people say, like, the Housewives of Atlanta, because T.S. Madison lives in Atlanta, maybe why not them put her on the show? I'm sure she knows a lot of the girls that are a part of the Housewives. Why not have Madison on there? I think it'll be interesting to follow her around while she's doing her traveling with Craig and the whole fag talk, taking that on the road, also intermingling with the women and stuff on the show and getting caught up in that drama. And the fact that she's a judge on Drag Race and, all the things that she's been doing. And she lives in Atlanta, so why not get into having her a part of that? I do think there is room for bringing a trans girl on there. I mean, why not? I mean, I've been saying for the longest that we need like a gay show with like a queer cast, whatever the case is. We've seen so many YouTubers that do these type of shows where you bring on gay rappers, trans artists, that sort of thing, and they're all kind of doing like the Housewives type of show on YouTube, because they've taken like that whole Housewives formula and decided to do that. So if they've been making that work in the YouTube format, I don't see why it can't be a thing. But according to people like Andy Cohen and oh my God, who's the other queen? Carlos King. According to them, men aren't entertaining on in a lot of these Housewives type shows, which I don't agree with, because number one, the men on the Housewives of New Jersey, they be bringing the drama just as much as the women. So I feel like Jersey is an anomaly because when Joe Gorga and all the men get together, they are thoroughly entertaining. But I also think that gay men and trans women, outside of the Zeus Network bullshit that they've been doing, you can do a Housewives type show that's with a full queer cast of people. Put me in the cast. I'll give you some damn entertainment. Where it's like you see people, entrepreneurs, career people, whatever the case is, bloggers, whatever, have them come on, do a show in different areas, and we could be entertaining. So I don't know where y'all getting that from, that we're not going to bring it like it needs to be brought. Because trust and believe, gays are thoroughly entertaining. The trans girls, anybody part of the Levitical plus community, entertain you down. Straight people, yeah, it's going to be different with men. But gay men, we're going to bring the entertainment. And anybody know about drama is Andy Cohen and some damn Carlos K. But I just think that a lot of times when you get homosexuals in a position of power, they don't want to see anybody try to, it's an insecurity thing, I think, where y'all don't want to put other people in that position where they could probably out-talent you. So it's easier to just keep women in check. That's my theory on that whole situation. Excuse me. Now, speaking of Jersey, he said, I've talked about this, but in an early season of Jersey, there was a conversation about maybe casting Caroline and Dina. And they said they have a gay brother. There was a moment where we were flirting with that idea. Ultimately, the heart of the franchise is about celebrating women. He said, I think that in terms of casting a gay guy on the show, and this is a show about women and celebrating women, so I think we'll leave it there, which is why I just said before, you don't have to bring a gay person on the Housewives. I mean, y'all did that before, but you was using the gays as an accessory. Well, y'all was having, especially when we talking about the Housewives, when you had Dwight, and then you had Miss... Who was the other queen? You had the Miss Lawrence and them up on there, or you would have like the gays, but they were always the assistant or somebody who worked with the other casting girls. So nobody said that it necessarily has to be the Housewives. Let the Housewives have their stuff, but you can create a show where you bring gay people on and give them a platform. Why not? If you're a gay man in a powerful position, you would think that you would try to uplift your own community and give them opportunities and create shows around that. Trust and believe, there's an audience out there that love watching gays be entertaining hot ass mess. If that wasn't the case, the RuPaul's Drag Race wouldn't be the show that it is. So as they said, like the Real Housewives debuted in 2006 with the Housewives of Orange County before expanding across the U.S. with Beverly Hills, New York City, Potomac, Atlanta, and more. The rest of OC were present for Cohen's appearance at the Lido Theater with Vicky Gunvalson presenting him with Variety's Creative Impact and Television Award, blah, 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 so on and so on. Okay, we don't give a fuck about all that. But yeah, so that's what he said. And they also started talking about his love life. So he finally, here's the thing I was telling you about earlier. So they put it in the article. Shout out to Daily Mail for all this tea, by the way. So Cohen finally confirmed on Radio Andy that he has been dating Kevin Sobieski for almost a year, adding that he finally found his person in the 42-year-old. So yeah, Andy is, I believe, 57, 58. And this guy is 42, which I will say this. If I was a man, and I already threw my little reading, I'm gonna throw it in again. It's funny how Andy Cohen could sit up here and fetishize black men, having black men sit on his lap, and he's fucked black men that I actually know. So I know this thing, but I ain't gonna tell you who, but just know that I know black homosexuals that have hunched Andy Cohen, and how he like to fetishize them, play with their nipples, having them sitting side saddle on him in the club and all that other mess. You out here fetishizing black men in club situations. But when it's time, when you home to mama, when it's time to bring him home to mama, he gonna be white. So that's kind of like the vibe that I was getting when I first heard about this thing. But I will say this, if I was ever in Andy's situation where I'm pushing 60 and I want to get me a man around an age that's younger, I ain't going higher than 40. I mean, I ain't going lower than 40. So you got to be 40 plus if I'm going to be pushing 60. And Andy is pushing 60. So I guess at this point, it's like he realizing he a man of a certain age. Does that mean that he's ready? He's able to start registering for AARP? So when you're in that age, the Peter Pan syndrome got to stop. That you can't be running around here. And of course, because you got money, access, power, all that stuff, you can still bag the young boys. We'll see how long this relationship lasts. But you can still bag the young boys. But when you want to move beyond the fornication of it all, and you want to actually go to work, raise your kids, and come home, and there's a man that's up in your situation that you can connect with on a deeper level. I'm trying to find the words. That's the way to go. So I ain't mad. I have to throw my little daggers at Andrew because, she a little superficial, tight-ass queen. But I see, congratulations, sir. So he said basically he's happy. I can't believe I found this guy. I just cannot believe it. I'm in shock. Well, maybe you stop being such an egomaniacal prick. Maybe that's why. It's funny how, and I had another person that said that, yeah, he's insufferable to date. So, because they dated somebody that they knew. So they just said that whoever this guy, Mr. Sobieski, it was like, good luck dealing with Andy, because dealing with Andy is a lot. And then he talking about how he has high dating standards and they've never wavered, and he was meticulous about his search for the perfect partner. He said, I don't want to be with the wrong person. I value my time too much. I value my life too much. I have great friends and a great life and great kids. My criteria about what I was looking for never changed. It's always been a feeling for me. I've always followed that feeling. I'm really happy to say that I met this person. The pair met at a party in the Hamptons last year where Cohen gave Sobieski his phone number after feeling an immediate spark. Their connection grew rapidly, and it's funny how the uppity gays, they don't go to Fire Island, they go to the Hamptons. So Andy Cohen goes to the Hamptons. He don't do Fire Island. Fire Island is way more lit than the fucking Hamptons, quiet as his cat. But I have family that live near the Hamptons. So, especially my grandmother, who my mother, I think, went to go see today. But anyway, so their connection, as they said, grew rapidly, and Cohen eventually introduced the Ivy League graduate to his 2 kids, son Benjamin, who's 7, and daughter Lucy, who's 4. They said this man is kind of strong and smart. He is smart, he is important, and he is an adult, and obviously he's 42. They say he's an adult, and he loves my children, and they love him, and I love him. So they love him. Introducing him to the kids is just entering him into the equation of my family so slowly. I have to say it's been so easy. Well, here's the thing. I do love they said he just turned 58 alongside Sobieski this past Tuesday. So he's 58. That's what I say, he pushing 60. But it's real serious when you introducing the kids to the significant other. He ain't pull like some of these other ones that y'all get in a relationship and immediately you introduce them to the kids. I don't like that. Doesn't Kim Kardashian, ain't she notorious for doing that, allegedly? Well, I have to say this. At the end of the day, I'm glad you found love in a hopeless place. And if you like it, I love it. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Would you love to see a trans woman on a Housewives franchise, or do you agree with what I've been saying for the longest? You can do the whole Housewives format. Quiet as it's kept, you need to revive the Housewives format and just do it in a different way. And you can do like the Housewives, and then call it something else, and just have LGBT people in the mix. You have your trans cast, you got the gays, you got the lesbians, you got all of them in that cast where 7 people of different walks of life, queer, whatever the case is, and you do a show like that instead of having to indoctrinate them. I mean, even though we know trans women are women, but you don't want to make it feel like it's a shoehorned stunt casting type thing, but put them in the whole situation, like we were saying before, in regards of create a whole new show around it. Use the Housewives format, but just with a queer cast. So let me know what you guys think, and the whole love life thing about Andy. What do y'all think about that too? So whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Trans great music. Well, yes, they do. I love all 3. May Sophie rest in peace. But Ethel Cain and Arca definitely make great music. Arca, as y'all saw, was in 10 years I'll be eligible. What was it? Arca was in the new Madonna video in the store with Shy Girl. I'm learning Gen Z gays don't feel the apps for them as nobody their age uses them. They were told use your friends. Their friends gays are friends with gays that hate their family. That's MAGA. Look, it's just, maybe you need to go back to it the old-fashioned way. Like Andy Cohen said, he met his person at a party, which means don't use the apps to look for love. Go out, leave the house, go to parties, go to different types of places, go to sporting events. Go to museums. Just get out of the house. You never know who you're going to run into when you get out in these good old streets. You might find the love of your life. When asked what's wrong with that, I'm MAGA. I said, you're doomed, child. You might as well just go buy you a fuck toy and just play with that all day. That's as close to pussy or booty hole you're going to get. Found this on Threads. It's accurate. Every generation got their Vogue, but not as cultural defining as Vogue by Madonna. Danceteria is giving Yes and, which is giving Babylon, which is giving... Oh boy. We love a full circle here on this show. All right, so now let's get into some more transgender news. And let's talk about Laverne Cox. So Laverne Cox has a new book out. She was on The View recently, and they asked her about her blonde-haired, blue-eyed MAGA Republican police officer that she had no qualms about bragging about. And then I guess she didn't realize, sis, why would you even admit this, out loud? Because now everybody gonna be looking at you sideways in regards to this whole situation. That this woman who likes to present herself in such a demure and mindful way, like she is the spokesperson for all things demure and transgender, would go around and even admit that she was out here in a relationship with a MAGA cop. But I always feel like everybody's bound to make a mistake. She's human. And unfortunately, in a situation where trans women have a hard time finding love without, beyond the whole fetishization of being trans, because I do feel like a lot of people do treat trans women as a fetish. Sometimes, the trans girls, they don't want to be alone. So sometimes you settle for whatever you can get, beyond your better judgment. So I am, while it's disappointing for her to kind of go there, I totally understand why she got caught up. So Laverne revealed why she ended her relationship with her MAGA Republican police officer boyfriend after more than 3 years together. Speaking on The View on Monday, which was the June 8th, that was yesterday, the actress said she had come to see her partner clearly over time. She said the political affiliation became obvious, but I already had feelings for him and I wanted to see him as a human being beyond that. And then his politics and his unexamined life became clear after the 3.5 years. And I was like, I love him, but I love myself more. And staying in this relationship, I'll betray myself. Well, girl, some people say you betrayed yourself the moment you decided to get serious with him. Now, in June of 2025, Cox received significant criticism from fans after revealing she had been in a relationship with a blonde-haired, blue-eyed MAGA Republican voter. And she was saying it with her whole chest. Oh, his blonde hair, blue eye, man of my dreams. Oh, I love it. Like, she was doing all of that, and people was looking at her like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, you're not read the room. And then she realized when that backlash, she was like, oh, fuck, I done fucked up the thing. So at the time, she said they had dated for 5 years before breaking up the year before. So damn, she had him around for a minute. Speaking on the podcast Fear and, she recalled the reaction. She said, I lost followers last year when I disclosed that my ex-boyfriend was MAGA. He was a MAGA Republican cop. Ironically, I had no dating cop policy before my ex, and he told me he was in commercial real estate. Cox says she knew nothing about his politics when they began dating. I thought the conversation would be about how two people who have totally different politics found a way to make it work or not, and the connection that actually exists beyond politics, the soul connection. She said, a lot of people will never forgive me because they were like, you should have taken that to your grave. You slept with the enemy. I think people are complicated. We would get into political conversations, and he actually liked having them with me. Well, here's the thing. I do agree on that part that, yeah, when you have two different politics, that can affect a relationship. We've heard many people talk about that whole situation. And she said that he liked having those political conversations with her. So maybe in a way, because Laverne is someone who is strongly politically inclined, and a lot of some of the things that's going on, especially that affects trans women or LGBTQIA plus people, that with her being in a relationship with him, she could sit and he's coming in with certain beliefs that don't gel with hers, and she can come at him in a way that can open his eyes up to the other. However, and I understand all that. However, I'm not here to be your teacher. We're supposed to be in a relationship. I'm not going to constantly want to be in a relationship where I got to educate you and I got to school you. Like how Whoopi said that Monique need to be schooled. Remember she said that when it came to the whole Tyler Perry Oprah situation? I was like, I'm your significant other. I'm not your professor. I'm not here to constantly having to teach you about issues pertaining to Black people, pertaining to trans people, or whatever it was politically that they talked about. Because he's getting his, the blonde-haired, blue-eyed police officer is getting, and a lot of these cops, they do feel like stereotypically they lean conservative in a lot of their beliefs. So you ain't got time to be up in here being your professor. But if that was that was the task that you felt the need to take on, that's on you. So I totally understand in a lot of ways. I ain't got no dog in this fight. Her talking about that people would never forgive her. I don't know her well enough to not forgive her. I know people who know Laverne and who know her heart and who know her as a person. And at the end of the day, this is something that she has to reconcile with. This is something that she has to deal with. And that was her relationship that she was with this man. And nobody ever knows what people are going through at the time when you drunk in love and all this other stuff. Because like she said, relationships are complicated. Love is complicated. Human beings are complicated. So I understand, sis. But hopefully this is the one time that you learn that lesson and you won't repeat it. Because if you do, I'm going to be side-eyeing you hard. And I ain't going to be as forgiving and understanding as I was with this one time. So you still got a little strike against you. But I get it. And I ain't gonna windmill on you too hard. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding what Laverne had to say about dating her blonde-haired, blue-eyed, MAGA Republican police officer? Are you feeling a little understanding for what she said? Or do y'all feel like, you dated somebody MAGA, we don't fuck with you? Because you know how y'all get. Especially if somebody leans MAGA or whatever, it's just like, oh no, it's black and white in that situation. There's no shades of gray. You're not willing to listen and learn or whatever the case is. Like me, I'll give you an olive branch. I'll try to understand where you're coming. But if you're coming in with all these crazy ass bullet talking points, and you're not willing to listen to what I got to say, then I'm done. If I can't penetrate the wall, I ain't got nothing else to say to you. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Haven't she watched any videos? They lie and say they're liberal because they understand the girls are more liberal and they're not getting laid. So yeah, that could have been the thing too. Maybe it was that, you know what, I'm just going to say and do what I got to do to get in between her legs and get some coochie. And that's that. So that could have been what it was. That, men will say and do whatever they can to get laid. So yeah, they're not going to be honest. But it wasn't until, like, I guess later on, she said she was deep in the relationship that she realized his political ideologies. And by that time, she's like, well, damn, I'm stuck. I'm sucked in. Maybe I can penetrate him and get through him and change his mind on some stuff. But like I said, I don't have the time, the energy, the wherewithal to be up in here and trying to educate and school people. But if that's what you want to do in your relationship, you take that time to do what you need to do. But for me, in the words of Sweet Brown, anybody got time for that? She said, no need to forgive Laverne for dating whoever she wants, but her bragging about it the way, that was what rough. And that's why I said in the segment earlier, the way she was up in there salivate, like she was all proud that she was out here dating a MAGA Republican. I'm like, girl, well, all this civil rights, sojourner truth shit you've been out here trying to promote, did you not read the room? Was you all right in that moment when you were saying that? You had a lapse in judgment? Like, why would you even say that out loud? You said it with your full chest like you was proud. So that's what kind of rubbed me the wrong way in that situation. No, so yeah, the way she went about it, I agree, the whole side-eye situation. I'm sorry, but Laverne is too grown. Yeah, because she in her damn 50s. Girl, you half a century old. You should have learned better, known better. She should have that shit. I can't talk. I'm sorry, but Laverne is too grown and has enough awareness to know the relationship wouldn't last. Like Ariana and Ethan Slater. I understand partners having differences, but when it comes to the point of affecting your civil rights, makes me side-eye. Yeah, because you was out here talking all this game and the civil rights stuff, and it's like, yeah, you got digmatized. Having MAGA friends and family is a political litmus test for me. Can you disown them because we don't get along? She gave us a window of what she wanted. We've seen this far too many times. They know what they're doing. I can't be with a religious nut job. I don't care about your Jesus. I think people should be very explicit in what they believe in on the first date. Absolutely. People got to be very open and like what it is that you will and will not stand for, and don't just tolerate and put up with stuff because you don't want to be alone. And I think a lot of times when people are lonely and they crave relationships, they will compromise their morals, their beliefs, and their Christianity to just settle for whatever the cutest thing that comes along. And it's like, that's why I think, even though this is what he said, Andy Cohen was like, I'm not compromising what my expectations of what I want in a significant other. Hence, this is why I finally found the one. I agree with her point, though, that people are very complex. Exactly. He said Laverne was also lucky that she came into mainstream prominence during the Obama era because she wouldn't have a career today. Ooh. That might be true. Shout out to Orange is the New Black, because that's when that career took off. All right, y'all. So now let's get into our final topic. And unfortunately, we have some sad news. So apparently, looks like some tea came out that Jussie Smollett is single. Because apparently he was engaged. Totally forgot about his engagement. And so according to reports, TMZ and I think also Just Jared came out and said something that Jussie done broke up with his man, Jabari Red, who also I believe is an actor. So his fiance, Jabari, are not going to be walking down the aisle anymore because they were officially broken up after less than a year. After, I should say, Jussie popped the question. Now, the 43-year-old Empire star and the Tyler Perry House of Pain and the Shy actor called off their engagement after less than a year, according to a new report. Sources told TMZ that Jussie called off the engagement with Jabari within the last couple of weeks, and that Jussie is moving on with his music career. Jussie announced the engagement back in June of last year and said, "I'll be spending my birthday with my fiance." He said, yes. Well, he said yes. That's me being dramatic. Now, the post, which has since been removed, this is why I hate about social media. Y'all love putting shit up there and shouting it from the rooftop. Then when the relationship don't work anymore, y'all start clearing out stuff like an artist about to drop a new album on their Instagram. So the post, which has since been removed, included a frame-by-frame timeline of Jussie's proposal while on a street in front of a restaurant. Jabari had a big smile on his face as he saw Jussie down on one knee. The second slide showed more of Jabari's reaction as he seemed to be yelling with happiness and lifting his hands toward his face. The third pic showed Jussie placing a ring on his new fiance's finger, and the fourth photo showed the newly engaged couple hugging. The two final photos were filled with laughter and smiling, and Jussie holding a glass of champagne. The last photo was a close-up of the ring on Jabari's finger. They starred together, and this is how they met, because they starred together in the movie The Lost Holiday, which also starred Vivica Fox, and that was a movie that Jussie directed. So that was movie number 2. Speaking of which, what's going on with B-Boy Blues? Because I like B-Boy Blues. I can't find that damn movie nowhere. I had to watch I think I had to watch it digitally online somewhere on the website. And I haven't seen it since. But he directed that movie, which I liked. I think that Jussie's career might still be suffering because of the whole situation that happened in Chicago where he was talking about that MAGA people beat him up. So I don't know. But it seems like the relationship is done. This damn camera is getting on my nerves. The relationship is done. I did hear recently because a friend of mine in our group chat, hey DJ, sent me something this morning, which stated that Jussie will be performing at Harlem Pride. I don't know exactly when that is, but I know it's obviously it's Pride of this month. So it might be next week, because I know this week is Brooklyn Pride. Queens Pride just happened over on Sunday. Brooklyn Pride is happening this weekend. I don't know, check your listings or whatever the case is. He's supposed to be performing at Harlem Pride, so Jussie's out here still doing his music, doing stuff for the Black queer community. He still has fans that love him, regardless of how you feel about all that stuff that happened in the news, where y'all call him, all kinds of liars and this, that, and the other. That's neither here nor there. But Jussie's still out here, got people that care about him. And maybe it was just like, you know what? Some people just not meant to be in a relationship or married or whatever the case is. That some people just go out here, do your thing, focus on your career because you're that type of artist, and you don't have time to be catering to someone else and making time for that relationship. Your relationship is with your music and whatever other endeavors that you plan on doing. So shout out to you, Jussie. Unfortunately, yeah, sad to hear about your relationship and all that good stuff, but there's somebody out there that'll sit on your meat. Because remember, I did see them nudes. Anyway. So I saw all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding this news regarding Jussie Smollett is now single? So whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. I don't think she should have taken that to her grave, as some say. I'm glad she is being open about her bad choices, because I bet many still crucifying her have even worse relationship choices. I could agree with that. So, and I think all piggybacking off of that, I think it even stems from when Laverne was on The View yesterday promoting her book, where they was talking about, yeah, keep things secret. Don't put things out there in the world. And I think it was pertaining to her relationship with her mother, who she did say her twin brother refuses to speak to, and that sort of thing, because of how they grew up and all the lies that their mother wanted to indoctrinate in them to have to do in life. And, you know, with secrets, as they say, everything that's dark eventually comes to the light. And the fact that she brought it up and is speaking on it, I do think that, you know what, as particularly people of color, Black people, whatever, we need to stop always trying to bury things or keep things secret or don't bring things up. We need to talk about stuff. So for her bringing this up, I definitely feel like it sparks conversations, kind of like what we're having now. And it helps people. Her situation will hopefully teach people, especially trans women who settle, not to make the same mistakes she does. And we have these type of conversations. So I'm going to agree with Linnea on that. Now, Confessions 2 is close to 2 million views. It's at 1.6 million views. So yeah, the visual did its thing and also won people over, and that's natural. But yeah, Bring Your Love needs. Yeah, it does. That's why we're saying, like, the smart thing to do is you should have did a separate Bring Your Love video. So that way they get that. Because if you want to release a single, you should have just did the Bring Your Love video. We get that. And then you give us the movie that's separate. You could use that segment in there, but it's just an extension of that little segment you did with Sabrina. That's a possibility, but still, she's half a century old and should know better than that at that point, unless she wasn't paying attention. Well, like we were saying, you know, she's human. and, you know, as much as, you know, when you're a woman of a certain age or anybody of a certain age, you know, well, like I said, people get lonely. She's 50-something years old, probably hasn't had the best luck when it comes to dating, especially when you're a trans woman of color. Especially when the lifespan for trans women of color is like, people at Laverne's age don't make it to 50. So, yeah, we'll see how everything works out. That's why I was like, at this point, Madonna needs a tour. I never dated a Republican or a MAGA. I make the first date very uncomfortable and just a test. Weed out the evil gays. Many gays are learning that MAGA or conservative gays is asking to be isolated. Well, look, people got to realize that however you decide to vote and how you feel in life, that's the price you're going to have to pay. This is what it is. All right, y'all. So now, where we're going. Okay, so it looks like, y'all, we are at the end of today's show. I want to thank you all for tuning in to the latest episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. One more again, hit that like button, subscribe, smash the notification, do all the things, hype it, do all the slap it, flip it, rub it down. Since as I told y'all, I gave away I didn't give it away. I swapped a shift for tomorrow. Because, you know, it's supposed to be game 4 of the Knicks. So yeah, I'll be here tomorrow doing a show because I switched for the Rosalia. Oh yeah, now they're talking about that, you know, we can change our uniforms and all that other stuff. So yeah, so Love y'all for watching. Thank you for saying that. And they said, don't go chasing waterfall. He said, so love y'all for watching. Thank you for your continued support. And until next time, ciao, darlings.